All right. Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Atchison County Commission meeting for Tuesday, December 5th. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you please stand and join me, Pastor Kelly, for the invocations.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to be in your presence. We thank you for life and liberty and justice. We thank you for these commissioners and clerks that have come together to serve this great county, Atchison. Father, we ask that you grant them knowledge and wisdom to make decisions that's going to be beneficial to meet the needs of the citizens that live in this great county. Thank you for America. This is a great nation that you blessed. Let us as citizens remember the greatness of our forefathers who have went forth and given their life for freedom. In the name of Jesus Christ, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close this line. Approval of minutes from last committee meeting. Did you guys have a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, you guys had a chance to review them?
Yes.
Okay, I'll look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay,
Second.
it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0. Commissioner comments. Commissioner Rivas?
I wasn't here last week, but I did see the famous chairwoman on video with the governor and did a great job.
Thank you.
Pretty excited about the K.S.A grant. That's the main thing that I caught on.
Commissioner Hall?
Okay, likewise, you did a very good job.
Oh.
It's glad to see you there in person
Thank you.
and it's exciting event for the county.
Yes.
So also I had a multi-county health meeting last night here in Atchison. Some of them were on Zoom. Things are going good. COVID vaccine they do have the vaccine there. So if anyone's interested in getting the COVID vaccine, health department has it. And then I have a NEK area agency on aging meeting Thursday morning.
That was one of the things on my list, is just to congratulate Joe Snyder and Emily and staff for the 2023 fall cost share from KDOT. It was truly a team effort with everybody on board and involved, from Pfeffercorn Engineering to all the folks that submitted a letter of support. It was a surreal feeling to be there with the governor and be awarded that, but it's going to be huge for our county and making the improvements to Ottawa Road. So congratulations to everyone involved. Also, I wanted to say a huge congratulations to Lindsay Wood. She obtained her administrator's license at Senior Village. So she is now our full-time administrator by license. So congratulations to her. I know she was active in the role all while going to school and taking the test. So so good for her. Congratulations to her. With that being said, new business, I have an employee payroll status form. When we hired Lindsay, we hired her at a rate of 85,000 with the understanding that once she obtained her administrator license, that she would be bumped to the current market rate of 95,000 for a licensed administrator. So I would look for a motion to approve Lindsay Wood, Senior Village for 95,000 salary.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. I'm backing up to commissioner comments, but also thank you to everyone that reached out on the senior village letter of intent. I heard from several people in the community feedback, so it's very much appreciated, and I love to hear perspectives and have the questions. So thanks for that. All right, Mark Zeltner, Finance Director, cancel warranty resolution.
So it's just a warrant, cancel a warrant resolution. There's so every year, any open and outstanding warrants older than 2 years old, we are able to cancel those and void them. If there is a check that does come in to be redeemed, like if they cash it, any of those checks there, we are obligated to pay it. We would just reissue the check for it, but it's been over 2 years for those listed on that form. So we're just going to cancel them out, and we do that for our audit.
So is that just the only copy right there?
Yes.
So how often does anyone ever show back up or check show back up?
Not in the time I've been here.
Yeah.
And they're for little amounts.
Right.
So there's nothing on that list over a high dollar.
Most of the jury checks in the.
Yeah. So those funds will just be credited back to the expense account that was used to cut them.
All right, so the resolution number for this would be,
I'm showing 1531.
Okay.
Patrick. Is that what you had?
Yes.
I look for a motion to approve resolution number 2023-1531, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners, Section 1, that the outstanding checks described and designated herein have been issued more than 2 years prior to December 1st, 2023, and are now barred by the statute of limitations K.S.A. 10-815. Section 2, that the county clerk is hereby authorized and instructed to cancel and void the following described checks as per attached to this resolution. To wit, Section 3, it is hereby ordered that the copy of this resolution be handed to the appropriate office for voiding, and that the county finance director is hereby authorized and directed to credit the proper funds. That said, checks be properly canceled or voided. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's been adopted on this 5th day of December 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Wes Lanter, Emergency Management IT Director, ArcGIS Renewal Purchase Order Approval.
Good morning, Commissioner. How are you doing? I'm remotely with you today because T.S. Conard is on site doing our security evaluation. So that's why I'm not there in person. Our purchase order is for the ArcGIS software that we use in the GIS office and the appraiser's office. And that's a yearly renewal, same price as last year, in the amount of $4,620. $3,300 of that is paid for the IT GIS department, and $1,320 of that is paid by the appraiser department.
One suggestion on the keeping a spreadsheet of required and optional renewals. I really liked that idea of us knowing like what renews every year. Would you guys be okay with funding this out of the GIS department solely and not appraiser? Or that way, because when it's split, it's harder to keep a handle on. Like, it'll help us through the budgeting process to have them listed per department, required and optional renewals.
We would need to make that decision at budget time because I don't have that budget for the 2024 year.
Okay.
So it would affect the 25 budget.
If you
I
want
liked
to
that
change it,
suggestion, though. Did you guys get the email from finance director?
Yeah.
About. I mean, I loved it because it'll keep us in track of when we're having those discussions per department of,
Yeah.
okay, this is what to expect, this is required, these are all the things.
But I think what Wes is saying is that he has it split out currently.
Mhm.
So this time and then for 24,
we would
split
adopt
out.
it for the next budget cycle.
for 25, yeah. So when we talk about the 25 budget here in a few months, we can go to your suggestion of lumping it. Right.
Can you still do the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Okay, that way, okay. All right, so I would look for a motion to approve purchase order as presented by IT department. Director to ESRI in the amount of 4620.
No, also move it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Pass. 3-0. Okay. Smart Net Maintenance and Cisco AnyConnect VPN license renewal and purchase order approval.
So this is budgeted by the IT department 100% every year. It's for the maintenance on our A.S.A firewall and our network switches. And then also for the VPN access for the Cisco AnyConnect for all of our remote users and our remote vendors. And that's in the amount of $3,935.08. Do you have any questions about that?
Can you help explain how this affects the operations of the county? I'm sorry, I'm looking for the purchase order because it's not in my blue folder, so I'm gonna print it out real quick.
Okay, so the A.S.A firewall, which is our security for our network, and then the switches, which is the connectivity between all of our departments and all of our computers and devices and printers. The maintenance allows us to stay current on the updated software that goes with those. So the security software, and if you don't keep up on the maintenance, then you don't get the security releases that they release out every month to 2 months to keep us secure. And then the VPN licenses is how you commissioners and other remote users VPN into our network when you're not on site.
Okay, sorry, Wes, I'm trying to find it. I have the ARC one,
I can forward it to you.
or could you just print it?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
SmartNet also, if there's equipment failure in the switches that is not like a lightning strike or something like that, then it replaces those switches. Or firewall.
Thank you. Okay, so I'd look for a motion to approve purchase order as presented from the IT director to Converge One in the amount of $3,935.08. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. Thanks, Wes.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Is that?
Oh, yeah, sorry, thanks. Okay. 10:30, so we have 15 more minutes. So then it gets here. That payroll status one. Yes. Yep. Thank you. Others. No, I really like the suggestion of keeping us in line with a spreadsheet during budget season. I think that will be helpful. And just so many departments have those renewals, that like having a snapshot of them during budget season will be
So I don't
so
know what's,
very helpful.
I think, to the department as well.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
We're a bit ahead of schedule, so, Travis Bennett.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
How about that?
Here
Good time.
with you.
Wow. We got rid of Wes and now it's on us.
It's on you.
All right, perfect. Well, how are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. My name's Travis Bennett. I'm the Director of Loss Control for Thomas McGee, and I'll let Jeff introduce himself in a
I'm Jeff
second.
Cox, I'm the Director of Alternative Risk at Thomas McGee.
The Carrot Insurance Trust doesn't have any full-time or any employees on staff. So all of Carrot's representatives, administrators, loss control is all done via third party. And so if you hear us being from Thomas McGee, that's we represent Carrot. So that's where just kind of to explain that to make it a little easier. But can I give you guys a quick handout real fast? Sure. Okay, while I do that, Jeff, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I mean, kind of just dive a little deeper there. We provide kind of all of what I would consider the core services of the pool. So claims administration, safety management. We place the excess insurance for the pool. We advise on setting the rates, and we're really kind of the fund administrator. So, you know, we're facilitating with the other vendors and help with, you know, getting bids, et cetera. So we work really closely with the executive committee of the board. But something that's very unique about Carrot, and I've worked with, I don't know, 20 pools in my 37 years of doing this now. I kind of got out of school right when pooling began. So my career has kind of spanned, I think the pooling legislation was passed in '83 in Kansas, and we started putting pools up in about '86, '87. And the firm that I went to work for was the firm that kind of started doing that. The first four public entity pools that were formed, Woodsmall formed them. And I was a young snot-nosed kid that they hired to kind of help learn this business. The old guys that were in their 40s back then, you know, that were teaching. So Carrot is unique in this, and Carrot was designed to be unique in this way. So there were kind of four core public entity pools that started, right? So you had K.Camp, K-Work, Carrot, and the school pool, K.S.B, right? And so they all had a little different target of who they were trying to serve. Most pools are designed to have a large number of members ultimately, 100 members, 120 members, something like that. And each individual member is not that large a premium, but you pool them together and you've got a pool. And you have a board that's 7 to 10 seats. The members elect the board and the board runs the pool. That's how every pool I've worked with has, except Carrot. Carrot was designed from the beginning to be kind of the large and mid-sized eastern Kansas municipalities. And it was designed so that every member would have a seat on the board. And so rather than just the members being members and electing a board and then kind of assigning the work of running the pool to them, the individual members collectively each have a seat on the board, you do, and run the pool. So we work for a board of directors that's all of you. So that is very unique. It was also designed to be a much more high-touch pool rather than having 100 members where loss control becomes a lot of managing the windshield time of driving, right? Let's face it, going out to Western Kansas. This was designed that the individual members would have a lot more say in the safety program, the claims management program, and we would build closer relationships and they would get a lot more high-touch interaction from us. And it has always been that way. So Carrot is unique in that, well, you have to spend a lot of time with this guy, which that could be good or bad on this, on the safety, but it was designed to be that way. So we don't really market or attempt to grow the pool at this point. We will get inquiries from municipalities and we sort of evaluate, would that help the pool? But there's a size at which that would become unwieldy, right? You couldn't have 50 board members, right? And there's really no appetite on the board to change that intentional design of the pool. So it will always be Eastern Kansas, mid-sized to larger municipalities, and each member having a seat on the board and really the board being governed directly by the members rather than a board of directors that they elect. So that's a very unique kind of aspect. And so, you know, we are kind of the staff of the pool. So like I say, we do kind of the core services. One of those is advising on funding levels. So for example, we provide all of our data to an actuary every year, actually twice a year, and they come back and give us two things. They project the losses on the old year, so we reserve enough money, and they project losses in the future year so that we fund the pool adequately. And I'm kind of in front of you on this, but I'll finish and then let you do the overview. But so the funding that we do is based on, we come up with how much do we need to fund for losses, right? Then we do a multiplier to cover expenses and fund to a little bit of a surplus. And our goal, and it has been, I've been shocked at how consistent we have been able to do this. The losses haven't really gone up and down a lot per year. We've been pretty close to what we predicted. So our goal is to fund to a 7 to 10% surplus every year, so that if it's a little bit worse than we think, we don't have to go back. You know, we want to be a little bit ahead. And then as the years mature, once a year gets 3 or 4 years old and we kind of know where the claims are and most of them have settled, we begin to give back the money to the members in dividends. And so the goal is that we try to create a 7 to 10% surplus every year, and we give you back from the old years the surplus you're creating in the new year. So if you look at your dividends, and we've got that, I think, you get back about, like the last 5 years, it's been about 10% of your premium that you've gotten back over average. And we try to do that. We don't want to give it all back at once. We give back slowly. And when we do dividends, we'll do a small amount on a whole bunch of years, right? Because we now have, this thing started in 86. We got a whole bunch of years that we've got surplus in. And we've had different members in the different years too. So when we do a dividend, we want everybody to participate. So we give little amounts, 7, 8% of the surplus from maybe a dozen years. And I kind of sit down with Melissa Mises and we kind of figure out which years do we want to do. And that's been a really good model. Everybody gets a little bit from a lot of years. We're giving back about as much as we're creating surplus. So it's kind of a break-in proposition from a cash flow standpoint every year is we're bringing in as much revenue as we're giving out, paying claims and giving back dividends. So it's a good conservative model. It's worked great. It's a very high touch, high involvement pool, which I think it's the only one I've ever worked with like that, where every member had a seat on the board. And I think that's a special aspect of Carrot. If I were a member, I would like that kind of representation rather than being a member. But I probably went too far.
Very good. Let's give you guys a brief overview. Carrot started in 1986. There's currently 18 members, so 18 board members, 18 votes. Through those, since 86, we've returned $16.3 million back in dividends back to our members. Just in the past 5 years, you guys have received back right at $81,000 worth of dividends. And so that's, like Jeff kind of explained, that's money that wasn't spent due to losses, and that's your guys's money coming back to you guys because of good loss control, because of return to work programs, because of the proactive programs that you have in place, working with your guys's safety committees and those types of things. So, a lot of that is your guys's dividends, and that's been a great return on your guys's investment. So I gave you guys a brief overview above of what Carrot is. It's been a good organization. I've worked with it now for 11 years. It's been great to work with the individual members. It's been great to work with the county. But some of the services that I would say is included that are kind of above and beyond what we provide to even just other insurance trusts that we work with is we have about 50 hours of loss control service time for each individual member. Now, remember, you guys are, one of the larger members for us. So you guys typically get a little bit more time. We look at all 18 members and we say, okay, 50 hours, 50 hours, 50 hours. The city of Mission, the city of Fairway typically don't need that many hours. So a lot of times that gets carved out to larger members like yourselves. And so we're able to spend a little bit more time with you guys and other large members. And for them, whether it be Mission or Fairway or some of our other smaller members, taking those hours and putting that towards you guys is a benefit to them, because the better you guys do, the better they do in this overall trust. We set aside $650 for each individual member annually for a loss control reimbursement. So that could be going out and buying new AEDs. That could be going out and doing an incentive program for our individual employees. So a lot of times when you look at a municipality or a county's budget, we don't have a line item for safety. So this gives us that opportunity to give our loss control or our safety committee the ability to go out and buy new equipment. A couple of years ago, we had somebody go out and buy a trench box. We've gone out and gotten new PPE. We had a member who had a high frequency of cuts out in the field. So they went out and bought a bunch of really great level 5 cut resistant gloves. And so it gives us that opportunity to take those funds and focus on where we're having injuries and accidents and really be proactive and mitigate those from happening again. We send a quarterly dashboard out to the safety committee and typically to our HR reps. And what that is it's about an 8-page analytic review of the past 5 years of losses. So we get into individual departments, we get into the tenure of our injuries, we get into the day of week, we get into cause of loss, we get into location of loss. I'm kind of a geek when it comes to that type of stuff, and it's more information than we probably should be sending out, but it's great information because it's really a good tool for our members to take to leadership, for our members to take the safety committee, for our members to take to individual department heads and say, hey, we're seeing a significant number of slip, trips, and falls. How are we mitigating this? Or, going and talking with Corey and saying, all right, Corey, it's your new folks. Now we know EMS has high turnover, but that's a conversation we can have. That's something that we can focus on. So it's really good data that we are able to provide you guys with 4 times a year. And it really gives us a lot of opportunity to look at what we're going to do next to how to prevent these accidents. First and foremost, I've been a safety professional for 20 plus years. Ultimately, my goal is making sure our employees go home at the end of the day. That's my first concern. Secondarily, when we're able to save and get dividends back, that's great also. And so that gives us that ability to really focus on where we're going to spend our time, resources, and our efforts. There's a lot always going on within a county, so trying to really target in on the best areas is really beneficial. Some of the web-based services that we provide, we have a learning management system, so we're able to sign up every one of our employees and they have access to different types of HR as well as safety training, harassment training, defensive driving training. It goes as far as cold stress, heat stress. I think there's 500 different titles of training that's available to our employees through a web-based platform. We also provide a service called MSDS Online, and not to go really far into the minutia on this, in 2015, all material safety data sheets completely changed formats, changed how we have to retain those. And so now the board provides you guys with an online management system of your guys' safety data sheets. Currently, you guys have 422 of the safety data sheets in the system, and it's broken down into each individual location, whether it's EMS here, Senior Village, each area or each building has their own list. And that program keeps those up to date. So as the manufacturer distributor makes changes or updates those, that automatically gets updated in the system. So that's a really cool service that we started to provide in 2015. Serve is another online learning management system, but this focuses on law enforcement and EMS driving. We have some of our members who will use it as kind of a new hire training. We have some of our members who will use it as an annual training. We have some of our members who will use it as, darn it, you backed into a pole or you got in a wreck. Guess what? You've got to sit through about a 3-hour safety training course that's specific to EMS and law enforcement. We have an online portal that we have all of our CARET data and all of our CARET resources that's available to all of our membership. And then we now, right before COVID, we instituted what's considered to be like a Nurse Now program. So think of telemed, just like we would have for your group benefits. We have the same program essentially for work comp. If we have somebody who gets hurt on a night or a weekend, or they don't want to go to the clinic or the doctor, or it's not accessible, they can call this 1-800 nurse line, and a nurse practitioner walks them through, what to do. Can we use, basic first aid? Do we need to go to the clinic? We've had a couple of times, they're like, why are you on the phone with us? Get to the emergency room now. But it's a good way for our employees to feel comfortable after an incident or accident happens, as well as supervisors as well. And that's been a good cost containment system for us, because there's a lot of times we'll have an employee get hurt in the evening on a weekend, and they're kind of that borderline call of, should I go to the emergency room or do I sit it out until tomorrow morning? And so now with this program, they're able to reach out to a medical professional who's able to give them, a true medical opinion. I didn't go to college for 7 years, so no one's asking me any medical opinions by any means. So it's good to have that information. It's good to have that touch point. And we've saved a significant amount of money on not having that emergency room visit and then sending them to the clinic the next day.
So we talked a little bit about, I'm going to share this with you guys, about how we fund the pool in total. But I want to talk a little bit about how we decide how each member pays, right? What's your individual premium? So there are two things, I won't get too deep in the weeds, but there's two things I want to note. A, it is purely objective formula. There's no set, we're not sitting around going, you think we're going to give Atchison a little more discount, or what about these guys, there's some competition. There's none of that. It is 100% formulaic, number one. Number two is, it is everything about the model is driven after we've said how much do we need to collect in the aggregate. It is heavily weighted to incentivize and reward performance in many ways. So I'm going to walk through it real quick with you so you see how the model works. So first of all, you see up here, there's all these class codes, right? So there are, I don't know, there's probably 150 class codes in the state of Kansas that the National Council comes up with, because people working in street and road and people working in police versus someone working in admin have way higher or lower exposure risk, right? And the injury rates are going to be much different. And the way it works is there's a rate per 100 of payroll. That's how the model works. So for street and road, you have $923,000 of estimated payroll, and we're going to charge $3.97 per 100 of payroll in our base rate. Every member pays that exact same rate, base rate, right? So that's just a formula. So there's 36,664 of your premium is for your street and road department, right? And we do that for every class code that you have, and we have a rate for each one of those. And every member has that same base rate for all of those class codes. So you come up with a gross premium here of the 235. Then you have an experience mod. That experience mod we calculate, but we're using a formula that the National Council on Compensation Insurance and all insurance companies in Kansas have to use. We put in 3 years of your losses, 3 years back, excluding the most recent year, because that's too green. All of your payrolls and all of these class codes, and the formula says, here's what your losses would be if you were average, right? So it says to us, you should have $3.97 worth of losses, right, for that class code. And so to the extent you have more or less, you're going to get debits and credits in that formula. At the end of that, an experience mod that is 1 means you're exactly average. You have exactly the amount of losses for your class codes that an average county in the state of Kansas would have. If you have better experience, you'll have a mod below 1 and you get a credit for that. If it's worse than average, you get a surcharge, right? 120, whatever. So you guys are at 0.97. So you're a little bit better than average. The reason that your premium is going to go up quite a bit this year mostly is that I think it was 0.81 last year. So the year that came on was worse than the year that came off is what happened in your mod, right? But that is purely formulaic. So what I'm telling you is the vast majority, 90% of your premium deviations every year will not be our rates. Our rates move a point, 2 point, not much. It will be your experience mod going up or going down, right? And it can bounce around quite a bit, right? It can move 25, 30 points in a year. It doesn't usually, that was a pretty big move, but it can. But that's purely whoever you were buying insurance from would use that experience mod, and you're gonna have that. And the point of that is to reward you for good safety and to make people pay more that aren't doing as well. Then we have also what's called here a standard premium discount. And that is sort of an administrative efficiency discount. So a large account, so if we come here and talk with you, or we go talk with Fairway, it's a certain amount of time, it costs so much. A larger member, it's cheaper because you're paying more premium, right? For the same amount of time and expense. So there's a table to give discounts based on size. So larger entities are less administratively expensive than a smaller member is, right? And so you're getting a discount of 11.6% because you're a pretty large member, right? So you're kind of efficiently, and that's a pure formula. Then the plus discount is there's a 0.5 point for each of the 10 plus programs. So if you guys are doing, this is activity based, right? Not outcome based. If you're doing the things that we're saying we think will make you safe, we'll give you a 0.5 point discount for each one of those things that you accomplish, right? So you guys got a plus discount of 4.5%, which was you did 9 of the 10 elements, which is good. And most of our members are either 4, 4.5, or 5 on that. So, we give you all of those discounts tied to those items, and you end up with, a net premium down here. The expense constant, something the state makes us do. It's supposed to be an expense charge. It's ridiculously low, and so then that's how you get to your premium of 187 through 12. But I just wanted to let you know that is an absolute formula. We don't do any subjectivities. Let's give them a credit for nothing. Any discount you give is formulaic, and every member would get it if they met the same criteria that you're meeting. So I just want to make sure that I think a lot of people go, well, how do they decide how much to charge us, right? And there's the answer in 5 or 10 minutes.
What questions you guys have for us? We popped in and just started talking. So.
No, we appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation very much. Just have a couple questions I'd like to better understand. I noticed like on your website, we're one of 2 counties, majority of cities. And I was just curious, when did Atchison County become a partner with you guys?
You started in the 2nd year. So we
1980s.
In 1988, we started, it was an 11/1 start date. We ended up moving to a 1/1. So it was like 11/1/86 to 87. And then I think you guys joined in the 88 year.
Okay.
Leavenworth County was one of the founding members.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you guys jumped on a year later.
Gotcha. So we were year 2 then.
Yeah. So you've been in it 36 or 7 years. Yeah.
Okay. And so when we go as a commissioner, when I go to like the Kansas County Commissioner Association, we're all sitting around a table brainstorming, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? And when this comes up, it seems like the majority are all K work.
Yeah.
And obviously we're one of 2 counties. So I guess from your perspective, how would I answer a question when one of my fellow commissioners says, well, why does Atchison County choose K.S.A over K work? And I know what my staff tells me, and your presentation just echoed exactly what the staff has said about you. But those are, when majority, and I'm not majority by any means, we got to find the right fit for Atchison County.
Yep.
But sometimes, that's why we need to do our due diligence to look into others rather than. So I'm just curious, when you're compared side by side, this is pretty straightforward. What would you say is probably one of your best standout features?
I think having more board control, having a vote, having to say so, as well as our TPA services are in your guys' backyard. And we have dedicated loss control people to each individual account that are essentially local.
Okay.
For me, local is 3 hours,
Right.
essentially
Right.
local. And then as well as, when it comes to the claims, when it comes to how the programs run, you guys just have a lot more control. I don't know the dividend structure that K-Works has.
Uh-huh.
But when we see an $81,000 return over a 5-year period, I see that as a benefit as well.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think I would say it's sort of going back to when these were started,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so I was a young kid just when we were learning how to run these pools, and is really the formation of K.S.A was designed for members like you, for larger entities in eastern Kansas. It's just that there aren't that many larger counties, right? So, you know, Johnson County, I mean, there weren't that many, right? So so it ended up being more cities, and there were a lot of Johnson County cities that were the original members. But that's what it was designed. It was just designed to be a little different model, which was to serve eastern Kansas. It didn't want to have the geographic diversity. And I can just say, as a service provider, it's a challenge to really make a difference with 100 tiny counties in western Kansas. I mean, it's just windshield time city. And so it becomes a little bit more of an inspection-based loss control program. You know, you're trying to, hey, we got to do, I mean, I'm just saying, they're loss control guys, they're going, we got to make 3 visits at that member over, you know, and you kind of lose the point of what are we there to do? And so, you know, I work with a lot of pools that do both. And what I would say is, if I was able to be in a pool like Carrot, that's the one I would choose. I would be in K-Work before I would buy insurance from an insurance company, right? Because they're much better, high touch, more involvement. But to be able to have a board seat, to get the high touch relation, I mean, you know, your people end up knowing the claims adjuster. I mean, Erica's been on it forever, and Travis and the team. It's just a little different model, being a small, larger entity. You got a seat on the board. And not only do you know what's going on because you're at every board meeting, but you get a chance to say, I don't like that. We should change that. If you're one of 100 members that gets to go to an annual meeting, you really don't have a lot of control.
Yes,
I mean, that's the big difference.
thank you guys very much.
Yeah, I'm on the safety committee, and safety committees really has confidence in working with you. I mean, it's one of the things that it's kind of, you know, they know it's our due diligence to see what's all out there, but the safety committee has been almost worried. So I commend you, because, you know, when you work day to day, or, you know, with someone, and that's where you get the response, like, well, I couldn't get a phone call, or, you know, you couldn't get a call back, or that type of thing. So hearing their comments is really kind of solidifies where I would be. One thing I do have a question about is what we are contemplating selling our nursing home, and that is a sizable premium on here. Now, if we pay the premium for the year of 2024, and we would sell in the first quarter, do we get part of that back?
Yeah, so the way that the premium calculations work is, when we start the year, we work off your estimated payroll. And then at the end of the year, we actually audit it. And we're getting ready to engage in fact, at our board meeting coming up next week, the payroll auditing firm's coming in to talk to us about setting that up. So in the first 2 months of the next year, we actually figure that out. But if you said to us in advance, we know we're only going to have this for a quarter, we would just estimate only a quarter to start with.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, but you won't pay premium on any payroll you don't have.
Okay, I was just wondering how that was worked.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
And who from Atchison County sits on your board?
Well, officially, we have a trustee and an alternate trustee. Yeah.
Okay.
It's Michelle and I.
Gotcha.
I was like, mommy.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jared was wait. I was like, mommy. I'm
You've been on the board for 3 years.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rivas, do you have any questions?
I don't think so. I mean, it's very. Yeah, I know workman's comp for years, so I mean, I know the concept. But I know businesses, so yeah, I get a lot of things. So what typically do you see when you do the audit for us every year? Is it historically been pretty close, or it's just a little here and a little one with the other? Is it fairly accurate usually?
There's usually not a movement of more than 3 or 4% of the payroll versus we estimated. Yeah.
It's pretty
It's
stable.
pretty stable, yeah. The biggest thing you can have is, and we don't have this very often, but sometimes, if a member's newer and they haven't been with us, they might have been classifying someone wrong, right? And maybe the audit firm that was looking at those class codes with the insurance company might have been different, looked at it different. And if we do our first payroll audit, somebody might say, hey, I don't think that's the right class code for that that person or that group. But when you've been with us a long time, we kind of know who belongs where, yeah.
That's good.
And I just want to also echo that, like, Jody will get this form, and then it also gets handed to me, which then I plug it into another spreadsheet that's really complex. So I'm checking it against this. She's to give the renewal. She's taking her employees to make sure the right codes are on each employee. So there's a lot of double checking and triple checking to make sure everyone is in the right code and everything. So
The past 3 years, Mark and I have worked really closely to look at the spreadsheet and double check it before we send off for the renewal too.
And on the risk assessment that you performed for us this year, when you do those year to year, do you, so one of the things we noticed in our audit process, right, is for the past several years, it was the same findings. Do you ever compare that year to the prior year to make sure your customers are actually making the improvements?
So one of the things, so I sit on the loss control committee. So within the board, there's a loss control committee and it's 6 board members. And as part of our Carrot Plus scorecard, that up to 5% discount program, one of the things we're already discussing for next year is finding a way to incentivize getting those items fixed and not letting those sit out there. So yeah, that's something that's on our radar. That's something that we're discussing. And again, it's not my decision. I take what's provided to me from the board, from the loss control committee, and then we go out and execute that and work with our members to help with that improvement. But yeah, that's an area that, yeah, when we see the same machine not being guarded or the same slip, trip, and fall hazard, and it's just like, come on, fix it, please.
No,
But
absolutely.
we're looking at some incentivation on that right now.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, this was the first year that I had a chance to review the risk assessment report, and I found it really interesting. And I think even commissioners can incorporate some of those conversations with our department heads to ensure due diligence is being done and that we're cleaning them up. So
And just a few years ago, we hired a guy who actually used to work for the state of Missouri as kind of an offshoot of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration through the state, and he is good. Like he does not miss anything. And so, yeah, when we, and our goal is we're not underwriters, we're not carriers. So we'd much rather see these items, get these items fixed, because you guys are in an insurance pool now that is based off best in class loss control and based off being as proactive as possible to avoid and mitigate those injuries. And so that's ultimately our goal.
Yeah, maybe to give a little flavor to that answer, kind of philosophical answer is how we think about our jobs is our jobs is to provide expert actionable information to our customers, right? And so sometimes that's working with a loss control committee about saying, what do you think the elements that should be in the safety program are? Or it may be, how do we incentivize people to fix the thing that they didn't fix? Because they'll save money. So now give them money to do it. Having programs like, here's $1,000 to spend on something like that. Making sure that the premium is tied to performance so that you're incentivized, making sure the dividends that come back are tied to performance. So we try to provide advice, incentives, guidance. But what we know we don't do is it's not our job to tell the board what to do, and it's not our job to tell you how to run your business. So that's the line we try to stay away from is a lot of telling. We try to do a lot of advice.
Yeah, are you seeing a rate starting to increase, especially I'm thinking police area and sheriff, that kind of stuff, and also healthcare? Are those starting to creep up higher? Are they maintaining now?
So if you were asking me that question about liability, and K.Camp is one of my clients, by the way, so I spend a lot of time with their reinsurance, which is so from a liability standpoint, law enforcement is just, in my lifetime, there's been nothing like it. The increase in the cost of the claims we're having in our layer and the reinsurance, I mean, it's crazy, but not so much on workers' compensation. No.
All right.
Especially in Kansas, Kansas is a pretty employer-friendly state.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you, for example, on first responders in the state of Missouri, when COVID hit, and I don't know if that was an executive order or the legislature passed it, but they basically overrode the workers' compensation statute and said any first responder that gets COVID, it is deemed workers' compensation. That was a very expensive thing because every firefighter, every police officer that got COVID, it was our claim. And that did not happen in Kansas. You had to prove that you got it on the job, which was very, very difficult to do with, you know, a disease that's in the community. But you're right, we have very good state law on workers' compensation.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. It was very
Yes.
nice to meet you and
Thank you guys. for
Appreciate your
Really
time.
Appreciate it. If you guys have any, I put our contact information at the bottom there. If you guys have any questions, concerns, anything, man, we should have asked those guys this. Don't hesitate to give us a holler. We're more than happy to help and let us know.
sounds good. Thank you
very
guys
Thank you
very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mark Ziltner is standing in.
I think I need a bathroom break.
Okay, perfect. No
All
problem.
of that.
We're ahead of schedule anyway, so. I had one request. When you get those risk assessments, will you just forward them to commissioners so everybody?
I sure can.
Thank you. Because I think that's really good how it's broken down per department. That way we can have those conversations kind of full circle of, you know, because it's incentive and.
Just remember, we do have the safety committee in place.
Uh-huh.
So usually if we do see something that is a red flag of any sort, we have a board of officers there that will get a hold of that department head and say, hey, we've had, you know, a higher number of accidents within Senior Village, you know, what can we do to change that? And the 650 annually usually is talked amongst the safety committee on what can we use that for those high claims of how can we fix it in that sense. So that's kind of what they were going into. So utilize the safety committee
So-
when doing that.
And every department is represented on the safety committee, correct?
Yes, but we cannot make them be on there. So there's some department head or departments that have people, but they don't come to the meetings very often.
So do you guys feel then it's the representation within the committee? So if the clerk's office, even though the clerk's elected, you're the committee member, it's your job to take that risk assessment back to your office and make sure all the things are corrected? Is that,
As a safety committee, that is, you want to watch that and then go back to your department. If your department's the one, if not, we don't really say go back and tell everybody everything that happens in the safety committee. Like if it's your department, absolutely.
okay, even if it's, okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious if there was a process.
And as
Because-
the president, it's kind of good that I'm in both spots of HR and the president on the safety committee because I know the complete ins and outs of all of it. And so I will take it upon myself after speaking with the committee and go to that department head and say, hey, we discussed this in this meeting. We need to focus on these areas. Is there something that we as the committee can do for you that will help with not having these accidents in the future?
Awesome.
So I take that upon myself a lot and I should probably utilize the committee to go, but
So
it's
maybe,
gotten better in the past year with having individuals present.
nice.
We
So
had to
may-
kind of make some to get it going.
So maybe we should have that as a standing place on our agenda once the risk assessment comes out for either the president or whoever you find from your committee to come give us a snapshot of it and then come back with results of like corrective action, I guess.
Is she
Or
talking about this, is she talking about the scorecard or is she talking about?
The dashboard. The dashboard report that we get that shows
Oh,
quarterly, yeah. And I can come to you guys quarterly and kind of give you an update too on that, or if you want it twice a year, we could do that and just do 2 and 2.
Yeah, quarterly sounds good.
I
How
think
often
so.
does safety committee meet?
monthly,
It's monthly.
the
so
third Thursday of every month.
every month. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it really got to the point where we had maybe 4 or 5 showing up, and so we kind of started being a little bit more loud. And there has been better.
It's been better the last
Participation
year and a half at least. Yeah.
Yeah, so. It would be nice in the future if we could give back to those that volunteer their time to come and be on committees like that, because it really does make the county a better place as far as work wise,
But according to like what Travis just said, that could be worth about $650.
to give incentive. to
Because
the committee.
I know this year we'd be getting $650 for that purchase for the Kings.
Yeah.
So, which absolutely was wonderful.
Yeah.
I have a hard time with that. I'm like, I want to create a culture where people want to make a difference, not have to have a pay, like a carrot dangled of here, get paid more to show up to a meeting to do your, like,
And I get that, but you've also got people though that are already doing that, so that don't have that carrot dangled.
From
And
a,
it's
it's
a
appreciated.
lot.
This is a
it's
KERIT.
appreciated. There you go.
from a general, from a general employee standpoint, I did not know. When I was in the treasurer's office as a front row clerk, I did not know that we had a safety committee. And then once I found out that we had a safety committee, I had made my way back to deputy treasurer. And I was like, can I sign up? I want to be on it. And so it's up to their department head on whether or not if it's feasible for them to be out of the office for an hour on those Thursdays. And then 2, you gotta have a volunteer from that department. And if not, it's the department head. And we all know our department heads are stretched than anyways. So,
I'll say,
I think it's more
we do want the department heads every quarter.
Yeah.
We do a quarterly meeting, and then we would love to have the committee member, whoever is that representative, but plus the department head, because it's just nice. And then it shows when we send all that stuff in to try and get us our participation.
Well, it's kind of also it's teaching. The people that are on the safety committee and we do our mock surveys before they come. And so then they start to know what to look for. They know what's going to be a tag or what's going to be. So they're, you're basically training the staff that's a safety committee to say, oh, it's a trip hazard. That is, you get an eye for what the problem is. And they go through with the different departments and are looking for extension cords that are not supposed to be there and different things like that. So it's kind of an education of the staff, self-policing and getting us ready for when they actually come in, and then we've already got that taken care of, so we don't get a tag.
and I love having the general employees on there because it gives them a great purpose.
Absolutely.
That's addition to just their daily tasks and jobs. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So what time does it meet? How long does it last?
So it varies. Sometimes we're done within 30 minutes. It can last up to an hour.
Okay.
And it's on Thursdays.
On that.
Yes, that's pretty
So,
good.
Yeah,
Uh,
third
9 a.m.
Thursdays at 9 a.m. And then we used to have meetings for 10 minutes.
Yeah, sometimes
And-
we have no accidents and there's nothing to update with, we'll have a 10-minute meeting, but we always meet.
You always incentivize with donuts or pizza or something.
We tried that too.
Food always tries.
We tried that too, and it didn't matter.
Yeah,
Well,
it
we
took a
appreciate
little
you.
of, hey, guys, and so we
I know.
kind of,
Well, and I think too, we talked about, we do the safety, the Christmas party. And it is also kind of an incentive to get people involved, and they're involved with different things, even though, being part of that.
having the employee appreciation committee.
Yes.
Is the safety committee, so we have 2 separate at the same day, and that kind of
And so,
got a little bit of people on there too.
right, so then after the safety meeting, then we go straight into that. But we say when we're gonna have those meetings as well, so.
Well, and on the, the risk assessment, I mean, there are several departments listed, so I wouldn't want to be listed without representation on the committee.
So,
Because that negatively reflects their department of,
and then with what you're looking at too, Brian has already basically addressed, if I'm correct, most of that.
so Brian.
And
is who
Brian,
does
absolutely,
this.
Brian is going to send that to me because he's wrote on everything. And then what I do is I scan that back in and then I send that on and say, hey, we completed this. This is when it was completed.
To those
Absolutely.
gentlemen or to your safety committee?
I
We
send it,
update the safety committee,
we
plus we
update
have to tell
them,
Garrett as well,
but I tell
Okay,
Karen
got it.
and I tell K-Camp because that's part of our stuff back from K-Camp as well.
Nice.
So everything kind of all ties in with Carrot. Carrot is kind of like, yeah,
and we have the maintenance supervisor as our go-to for that, just because he's going to be probably doing those repairs
And
to what we need.
he,
You know,
and
handrails.
Brian's great about that. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay,
He
thank you
takes care of
guys.
the runs.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mark Zeltner, Finance Director, is standing in for Joe Snyder, Road and Bridge, with a 2024 fuel bid opening.
So some big shoes to fill this morning. So Emily is on and gonna try to take care of some notes for me too, and I'll do my best.
Okay.
But so yes, the 2024 fuel bid opening.
I printed.
Okay.
It's printed. Do you want to use that and like write both names? Because we only have we received 2 bids. That way, if you wanted to write the bids on it for you.
Okay.
You would have it. Do you want me to open them or?
Sure, you can open them. You can do your 1 and 2 on them.
You already know. You want me to read them or?
Sure, you don't, this is just for one bidder, right? Do you have one?
No, I can make a copy though real quick.
Would you? Just easier.
And this is the fuel bid for road and bridge and EMS, correct?
Correct, and solid waste,
And solid waste.
all 3 together.
Just this, but I know you're gonna write it down anyways. Road and bridge, solid waste and.
And it's one bid and then they split it based on the usage they need.
Okay.
Okay, so the first one is from Consumer Oil and Propane. And then it shows the purchase price of the clear diesel fuel regular blend, 3.1750.
Can you do that one more time?
3.1750.
Thank you.
The winter blend surcharge is 0.15. This is per gallon. The purchase price for the dyed gallons
Mhm.
would be regular is 2.9115. 2.9115. The winter blend surcharge would be 0.15. And then it says for the unleaded purchase price, it says 25750, but I'm thinking there should be a point there, but I can't necessarily see it, but
What is it?
25750. It kind of looks like there should be a point, but then it kind of, so yes.
Okay.
We'll look at it. The second bid is from Ag Partners Co-op.
Okay.
Looking for it. Purchase price for clear diesel would be for the regular is 3.25. And then the surcharge, they're saying it's 3.37. The dye would be 2.99. Surcharge is 3.11. And then the unleaded is 2.75. You need any of those numbers again?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
What was the dyed?
2.99.
2.99 and 3.11.
So I believe that Joe would want to just review these and then give you his recommendation at a later date.
Thank you. Inward truck agreement.
Okay, so there is a purchase order here,
Thank
you,
Thank you.
to Wichita Kenworth. It's for a 2024 Kenworth truck. He would like to do add in a 7-year warranty to coincide with a 7-year loan lease purchase. He's going through Sourcewell for everything that he's gotten and prepared. How he wants to fund this is the purchase price is that grand total of $344,915 even. He has 87,733.50 in lease payments that he has budgeted for 2023. But due to not being able to get equipment, he hasn't used that money. So he would like to apply what he has budgeted as the purchase price, in addition to 12,266.50 out of his special machinery fund, for a total of $100,000 as like a down payment on it, to make the payment more reasonable for the lease purchase length of the loan.
So we would finance
The two-
244,915.
Correct. And then that goes along with an RFP for truck financing, which I think Pat is working on.
Well, I have it all done except for, were we switching to a 7-year amortization?
Yes.
And so, okay. Yeah, I mean, I have it ready to go out. It can go out today.
Okay.
Distribution list we have has shrunk by 2. It was 9 before, but Wells Fargo is gone. We always send it to them. They never responded, but they're not here anymore. The other was First Bank of Troy, and they're now part of First Option Bank. So, so it's UMB, Exchange, Bank of Atchison, First Option Bank, Bank of Blue Valley, Girard National Bank, and Citizen State Bank and Trust Company in Hiawatha. Are there any others that we should add?
What about GN?
Is that
GN?
important? GN Bank?
Well, there has
Yeah,
GN.
Girard National Bank.
Okay.
Yes, they
Okay.
are.
Okay,
Is the Frontier Credit Union that just came, is
In
that
town.
do they
Sure, Adam.
off Green Street by Mar Hill?
Good thinking. So Joe and I had kind of talked, and we haven't had the chance to bring it before you guys yet, but we were thinking as we prepare like a comprehensive improvement plan, a CIP or a machinery plan, anything over like a $250,000 threshold could go out longer term, 7 years, the life of the loan, life of the expectancy of the piece of equipment. Anything less than that, we could do a standard either 4 or 5 year loan. It's just, if you stretch it out to the 7, you kind of keep the payments reasonable and not such a $100,000 payment every 6 months or whatever the case is, but we kind of thought that would be a good threshold.
And we're keeping him capped at.
Yeah.
Okay,
So with his 24 budget that's already been established, this lease payment will fall in line with what he's budgeted, so.
okay. So I would look for a motion to approve the purchase order as presented from the finance director to Wichita Kenworth in the amount of $344,915, noting that we will finance $244,915.
so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Thank you.
Maybe I'm late on a question, but is there any additional equipment to be installed on this after it's purchased?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay,
It's
so it's
all
all good to go.
inclusive. Mhm.
I think it's built to,
The
specs,
specs,
yeah.
yeah, from
That
that
was
source
something
well,
like something you add. so-
yeah, no, I think.
I think if you find one that's on the lot.
Yeah,
Then you need to
then you
add
add
or
something.
subtract it.
But that presentation we had received from Sourcewell, Joe had talked with them and they bid it out to what he needs on the piece of equipment already.
So,
The next item that Joe has is for a purchase of a 2012 New Holland used tractor. And then also trading in a John Deere tractor.
yeah, I mean,
We have this one.
That is
I think
strange,
cold,
this is
but
like
it's a
husband
little boggy.
business.
I understand.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't think that's close enough to.
Okay, just making sure. Okay, so I would look for a motion to approve a purchase order in the amount of $20,000. This is for a 2012 New Holland T5070 in the amount of $35,000 and $15,000 of a trade of a 1981 John Deere 4240 to Wagamuth Equipment. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Okay.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0.
I hadn't heard where you firmed up on the traded value, so that's good.
Hebert construction documentation.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure what. So enclosed, the envelope says it's for contracts, bonds, insurance, and notice of award. Labeled 3 contracts, 3 bonds, 3 notice of awards, and then the liability insurance. Not sure. I'm supposed to read those.
Emily's on.
Emily, do you know anything about the Ebert construction? What I'm supposed to do in the open meeting?
I think there were some documents in there that Casey needed to sign.
Let me pull up our-
So, yeah, okay. It says, the chair would need to sign those. There's 3 of them.
That's happening.
Well,
Well, these were
Thank
part
you,
of the culvert projects. And so the notice of award was included in that packet. So I've reviewed it in that sense.
Okay.
Since it's been filled out. But they were the successful bid.
I'm gonna pull up
when we did the,
yeah, because. So this is for the. Not the bridge, not the fall patching.
nothing that needs done on that.
It's for MHC's Ottawa Road culvert. MHS, sorry.
No, you're fine. I'm just trying to find. The information.
Airball.
Thank you.
I don't see that this one has a signature.
Thank you.
And these are just the insurance that we have to have on file, so those are fine.
Sorry, bear with me. I'm just trying to find. Where we did this.
Try to look in the commission files too.
For what?
When we did this Ebert construction.
Site 2 Ottawa Road. Here's
Yes.
the bid tabulation. I have it. 11-9.
Yeah,
I got it. I just wanted to have the verbiage in front of me of. Okay, MHS, there it is. Okay.
So it appears that we just need the chair's signature on both of these documents.
Perfect.
These ones are just other informational pieces that do not require it.
Okay, so on 11, so November 9th, so on November 14th, we were presented, we got an email on Thursday, November 9th, and we talked about it in our November 14th meeting. It was from MHS, Ottawa Road bid tabulations and a recommended acceptance for the culvert replacement improvements on Ottawa Road. So Ebert Construction was the lowest qualified bidder and recommended that we award the contract to them, which we made that motion. So I would look for a motion to allow the chair to sign all of the notice of award documents and the contract on behalf of Atchison County. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move.
second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 3-0.
Thank
For
you.
your patience. Sometimes I just need a
No,
refresher we go through.
No, that's totally fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Emily.
Yes, thank you, Emily. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
want to look at those, there's 3 copies, each one.
These people kids are the same contract.
I want to notice of award and then this is the contract.
Oh.
Agreed.
Okay, that's the contract, but it says that we need to initial all pages of the bid form. It says. Great, and so it's. What do we, what's the bid form, and we need to initial all pages and just.
The performance bond, maintenance bond, provide insurance certificates.
The bid form is what we,
What we. The bid tabulation that we
Yes.
signed,
yes.
that was
Okay.
November 4th.
We signed a notice of award on November 21st to Ebert Construction.
We have some time ahead of us too, so just wanting to make sure you guys got Scott Howard's email of the cybersecurity analysis. It's asking us to click on the link that just got sent to us, so making sure you,
Oh, I didn't read it.
oh, mine got caught in Trend Micro.
Okay, also, did you catch the 12 o'clock? Update on who's gonna be here for the 12 o'clock?
No,
Pat. Ensign Group is gonna be here,
oh, they're coming?
yes,
Good,
just so we know.
well, that's great, that's what we were anticipating anyways.
On the agenda is the Heritage Trust Fund, that was on once before, we had actually talked about that, and this got duplicated somehow, so.
Okay.
That's a non-item, I just want, so people see that and we passed over it, and just. It's just a simple matter of wanting to people to know that we filed for a grant, and it's gonna be what, February for it. We know results.
So there's also a KDHE agreement on here that I have not seen. I'm wondering if it's just about the Ham Quarry. But I don't really know. I didn't get any emails of a KDHE agreement. Did you guys get anything?
Mm-mm. Did you have something there?
I don't know.
No, I didn't.
Alan,
This was just,
Alan, I think it came from you. But I had replied back and said I didn't have documentation. Mark's looking, I don't have my email because I'm not.
Well, I did that. I couldn't have things from Scott now and that stuff.
No, you're fine. I think we're trying to verify this once.
those are things like when we get agenda items. Be nice to be able to read and ahead of time.
Oh, yeah, because I had a question about. what this
Yeah,
was.
because it was something about like an e-sign or something maybe. Is what I vaguely remember.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the hospital deal. I'm sorry.
I was like, I thought you sent it to.
That's what it was.
But I know
She
I
threw
sent-
me off.
No, you're good. Well, it
So-
said KDHE, I thought in the.
So
email.
Chase the hospital, they put me on that one deal, that grant they applied for. Well, that all came through. And so, because they put me as the guy commissioner on that, they want me to sign it. That's well, I'll sign it after everybody sees it, but all it is follow up to that. Rural initiative grant, which is called.
When we were the conduit for them,
Yeah.
they were successful.
Yes.
That's awesome. They did 5 million, right?
Yeah, I got pull the numbers up. Sorry, I did that download, it messed me up here.
Cause I didn't know if you had gotten my email back, cause I had said I don't have the documentation, so I didn't. I put it on, but yeah.
See, when I was on my trip, our internet was all jacked up. I just had a heck of a time communicating with anybody.
No, yeah, you're good.
It was a big mess, but anyway, so that was part of my problem, so,
You remembered though.
well, Katie, if you hear me off.
Yeah, it threw me off too, because I was like, what is this?
Yeah,
I hadn't heard anything.
Okay, so did you guys click on the link and have success?
Because I didn't want to go down. If there was a.
If you click on that link and it's set, you can hit continue on the screen.
Wes, I didn't get any call to confirm the email. Am I supposed to click the link to?
Well, you are on a personal laptop, not a county provided laptop, right?
Yeah.
So then you don't need to complete it. It's just for county owned equipment.
So then question Wes, down in the right-hand corner, then it's just gonna continue to compile. Cause it shows unknown threats 3, virus malware 1. It'll just keep, so just leave that open down there.
Yeah, did it open up a screen that says Galaxy scan on your screen with a bunch of little dots on it that are moving?
Yes, sir. And then I hit get started. And
Yep.
it says your download has started. Open the download file and start your
Correct. And you need
analysis.
to click open on that.
Oh, there it is.
Mine, when I clicked onto it, it went to Trend Micro.
Yep,
Says
mine
this
did.
website is not tested.
And then go to continue.
Correct. Go
That's
to
exactly what ours.
Okay, I didn't see that part.
No, I didn't either. You just walked us through.
Well, I got
typically,
in a step late, so.
typically, if you ever open something and Trend Micro pops up like that, and please don't go any farther. But this is a tool that we're using for security. So typically, don't go past the Trend Micro screen. And this will just run. You can continue using your tablet as needed. It'll just run for anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour.
And so when you open that dropship file, then it's just that alert down in the bottom. Then that means it's open.
No, it will open up a box in the middle of your screen that says Galaxy Scan on it with a bunch of little dots on it when it's working. You want me to remote in and see what it's doing?
So the first download shows removed. And so I started another one, but it's not letting me open the file. Oh, there we go, maybe.
Did you hit see more on the downloads?
Mm-hmm.
It says to open the downloaded file. How do you open?
Let me just remote on real fast. Who wants me to remote on first? Okay, K.S.A.
I'm like, I will not.
She was the first one to raise her hand.
But if I could watch what's going on there, I can. See, I don't know what, I'll see where it says to open unless you, all of those are open.
Did yours open up, Kayla?
I'm not doing it. It's on mine.
Oh.
My computer's upstairs. Which one are you supposed to drop ship?
But each one says, oh, you're supposed to open all of them?
No, you shouldn't.
So they're just.
Oh, it was in
Yeah.
the background?
Yours is
It was-
running, Casey. Yep.
Okay, sweet. Thank you.
I will get
Well,
off.
you on mine, I'm a mess.
Can you get on Eric's? I don't know what I did.
It was running in the background of mine. Oh, but you might be.
I don't know. I have. He had a whole bunch of stuff in here, so yeah. Wes, go on ahead and do your thing on Eric's, please. I'm like,
I'm logging in now.
thanks.
Background still flying out here.
Okay, so yours is.
Let me look at my inbox if there's anything else we need to talk about before noon.
I'll be with you shortly. He's working online.
Okay, Eric, yours is running now.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do whatever you need to do on that computer while it's running.
So Wes, I need mine fixed, and also I'm trying to get Chase from the hospital approved as a contact at KDHE. I can't seem to get them to not get him off the block senders list.
Okay.
They had him approved. They're on the naughty list.
So as long as that. Casey is.
Yeah.
As long as
Yep.
that's on there, you wait until,
You can go back into your stuff. It just runs in the background. So if you want to go to your email or
okay.
Yep.
I'm
keep on keeping on.
always scared to hit. If I hit it, it's gonna be wrong. So,
Yeah, did I forward that to you as well?
You just sent the email, but there was no attachment.
Yeah, so it's really kind of, yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I had sent you an email back and said, I don't have anything.
Okay.
So I don't know if it was just a document sign.
It's DocuSign thing, so probably when anybody will see it. I'm assuming
Let me, well, maybe it was just up to me and Michelle.
it was DocuSign, it's really good at this recipient again.
Let me see if I can't pull up my email.
When I get on, I'll just print it off. That's what. I didn't think I should just sign anything unless I throw back with sign again. Oh, yeah, that.
Okay, Alan, yours is running. If you could just forward that email address to me, then I can add it to the safe senders list.
Okay, well, one's a DocuSign.
I'm going, I think I'm
Oh,
gonna
Came
go.
oh,
to me.
All I care is what's on the email, what's on the email address. So I don't fat finger their email address.
Yeah, it says sent an agreement. I just pulled it up, Alan, and it says. It's to inform you that the Kansas Department of Health has sent an agreement to you for signature via DocuSign. They would have sent that to you on November 30th,
Yeah, I got that.
but I don't. In order for the link to be functional, the email will need to be moved. The email notification may have been sent to your junk. So I don't know where that.
Okay, well, hang on a minute. Let me do one thing at a time here.
No, yeah, you're good. I'm just. I'll also check, be sure that that was all the pages.
And reviewing everything for, today. When we met with SLIB, did they draft a letter of intent to and sign, or? Cause I have the original letter and then our counter. And then they accepted, which he presented to us. Nick at SLIB.
And then we signed that and sent it back.
Okay, I was just looking to see if I had. A copy of that. Do you mind forwarding what we agreed to that day? Oh, maybe this is it. Engagement letter. No, that's Flanagan. Oh, this one here. I have it, Pat, I think. Yep, I found it. Sorry, thank you.
So you have it?
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Yeah, you sent it to us on the 22nd of November. I was just.
Wes, you still there? Yeah, I sent the other email from KDHE to you to get it, okay,
Okay, I received it. Thank you.
all right, thanks. All right, so we get somewhere. You know, doing this upgrade thing during this is kind of clunky. Second.
We don't have any business till 1.
Correct.
Well,
Till noon.
Or noon,
12.
sorry. I knew what you meant, like,
Thank you. Knew what I meant too, but you came out that way.
Maintenance pickup is on maintenance inventory, right? Not, okay. Perfect. I have a question on contracts. Do we have, if we sell a facility, then are we still bound to early contract termination fees, if any, on any?
Probably not under Kansas cash basis law. You have, as long, if you don't, what is it? A lot, what's the word? It's not a lot funds, dedicate funds, to make payment, then you're not obligated to pay it.
Awesome.
What's the word?
Like we didn't budget for that type of thing.
Yeah. Right,
Like when we went into the budget, when we set that budget, we intended to be in business with.
right, but for them to actually spend the money, though, it requires the plan. The answer to your question is no, we're not.
Awesome.
Printing off 2 copies of this document. And
Oh.
Pat probably wants one that you'll use.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, why they had me on that as a designee, but either way, that's up to the commission should see it. Give Jason a copy of it. I actually took photos of it and texted it to him because I was having such a hard time with my connections over there. It was pathetic. The storms came through, and I guess it knocked out some of their
Oh, really?
towers or something. It was legit. It was just third world country or 7 pages.
I remember when he came in and kind of explained that, but I can't remember what it was. that we intended to
It's
do.
a rural hospital innovation grant. And basically, we're just the third party
Yeah,
that holds the funds, and then there's really no cost to the county other than we're the
yeah.
holder.
That was in April that we did that was in April that we did that application,
Looks like it sounds about right, yeah.
and they just now.
I don't know when the deadline was.
Yeah, and since our acquisition, for some reason, I've not been getting press releases like I was before press releases.
Oh, right.
Some of them have gone, some have not. Now, I don't know, I guess maybe James is getting them, but I would think we would be getting something about that. We should probably keep on. But then they may not be able to. It may not have been announced.
Is Sanford Writings still the one for legal publications?
I
Just said,
think
they're both-
so, but I don't know.
maybe, whatever.
Thank you.
That was the last time I asked. That was the person.
I mean, just send that to you soon, sorry, I was.
November 21st.
That was good, that day where I had more problem connectivity. I ever in my life, I was in America.
You were in America.
Why?
That's part of America.
Yeah, it was like. That had better telepathy than in Hawaii.
My grandson just got back from Hawaii a few months ago. He enlisted in the Marine Corps for
Oh.
4 years.
Yeah.
Well, after his first year, of course it was COVID and all that, but he got a 3-year tour of duty in Hawaii.
Right.
So as an NP, and then since he was not going to enlist, he got on some program and he came back home where these companies will employ you and the military pays the bill and pays your wages. Kind of a transition.
Can you print me a copy of that?
Nice.
Whatever, so now he's living in Fort.
Thank you. So the period ends on the 21st.
Important resident, you know.
For the.
Well, actually,
So I will
Yeah.
clarify.
Right.
I mean, 150.
So,
Like, on the timeline.
they're
'cause that
living
can
on the
mess up.
reservation.
Yeah.
She's on
Like-
the roll.
He's still a Marine, still a Marine right now. Oh, yeah, that's interesting.
Yep, until February, I guess, but he's in civilian clothes and all
My
that.
son just got stationed in Hawaii. So he's moved to September, he'll be there for 3 years.
Well, Mariana, his wife, loved it. Alice did not like it because everything's higher, cost of living higher there.
Yeah, you can't be.
That their quarters where they live, I think they were the second people who lived there. And it was on the best, one of the best locations on that island. To watch the whales.
Crazy.
Her family went over to visit a few times. My daughter was to visit Dallas. Too. But John and I didn't.
Thank you so much.
You have to go through sexual harassment. Paragraph 3 and 4.
I've done it. Your scouts. Always say I'm bad, but you can't walk like that. I'm fine with it. Yeah, the training would be interesting. That was last week.
Oh.
Yeah, clearly something that whole bunch of attached to every contract.
Plus this.
For me, that was just.
If you want to read it. that's before the voting.
Yeah.
But if I hope it's a week long.
So.
I'm out, be coming down that real quick for some.
So all we have to do is,
It's the same thing we were approved, it's just a matter, of they've got the award now, so it just moves forward. So I can either sign it online and send it, if you really just do it this way and have Kaylee email it back to them. And have a scanned copy for the documents.
Yeah,
That's
I
probably
have
better.
one for us.
That's what I thought, okay, so.
I mean, that's the way I prefer.
So we should have a motion to authorize me to sign it then and then go forward. That way we're all clear.
Yeah,
If Pat looks it over and it's fine.
so even though it shows the duties of Atchison County is reporting to KDHE,
Well,
we're not doing that, the hospital's doing that.
I think we need to make sure that it's done,
Okay,
but. Yeah, and was it section 4.2?
Yep.
I think refers back to, you know.
Yeah, right, they're gonna do everything and they report, let us know what they've done. We're gonna get a report from them.
And we're obligated to make sure that it happens and obligated to make sure that they deposit the matching funds and so. There's some. lot of things we need to do.
so how do we, I mean, how does that happen? Do we have a point person like Mark be involved with that,
Well,
or?
I'm not completely sure. I had just made a note to myself to talk to Mark about it after the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was gonna set up all the different grants, track things with that.
Yeah, it needs to be just tracked or so like being CC'd in,
so that we're fulfilling our duties.
yeah.
It's 2 payments. Well, they applied for this 5 million, they got 3.2, so that's pretty good. Rich. We're gonna do Casey.
About what?
We're gonna do this or not?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
Just gonna sign it.
if he's fine with it, that's fine with it. Oh, I think we have to make a motion.
That's what I wondered, yeah.
There may be our next appointment here. Is it okay if they come in early, or are you ready for them early?
Okay, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick and then I'll be ready.
Just see some gentleman out in the hallway.
I'm sending Seema today. It wasn't making me sick.
Yeah, I sent that email to you. Let's see if you can open it on your side that way.
Okay, let me get logged back into it. I don't have my email down here.
That at least says the lady's email address that you can send it to.
I'm just trying to get logged in real quick,
You're fine.
because
Not right anymore. Yeah, good. A lot of things
Well,
are coming back
maybe
up,
there-
you know.
Yeah.
I
had a headache.
Think about,
And
I really,
I thought maybe my honeycomb would
Is
take
that
care of it, but
Haley?
it did not.
Alan to Haley.
so.
Yeah.
I can definitely send it
When I'm like first year.
to her and
Since
Yeah, I don't see it again. You might have to chase.
Since others are
Yeah.
planning to
Yeah,
attend, we
Jason,
probably
that
stay on that
student.
timeline of
Yeah,
man.
sure. Didn't think about that.
I didn't either until I went to the restroom. I'm like, wait, there's.
All right, if we want to do this first, I can do Kaylee detail it.
yeah, absolutely.
Do that.
Let's see.
I'm sure that'll be.
Yeah, I can definitely send it on to who.
It will, you know. Something always comes up, distractions.
I'm gonna put my updated phone list up here. So if anybody needs a call, we've got a call list.
Thank you.
Good.
Congratulations in person.
Yes,
Yeah.
congratulations.
Exciting.
It's a big step.
That's huge. It's awesome. I'm so, I can't imagine the weight lifted off your shoulders of like, got it.
Working and studying and yeah, yes.
Wow. And being a mom and all the things.
Yeah.
Good job. Congrats. Hey, Doug,
So.
how are you?
How you doing there? Too bad. Hey. Sit room.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have the Kansas Department of Health and Environment Rural Hospital Innovation Grant Agreement in front of me. We had a chance to read this as well as our county counselor and see no issues with signing it. So I would look for a motion to allow Commissioner Rivas to sign this agreement with the Rural Hospital Innovation Grant.
So moved.
Okay, I will second. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye, passes 3-0. You need a copy.
Yeah, I don't need that.
Okay.
That's good. Two of them.
Might just sign an extra.
It's different.
Thank you.
Let's look at that again.
Give me some.
One.
There's two, one's for the second
Oh,
one.
I see. It's like a bit of shade on there. Yeah. Back to it.
Me.
Yeah, I just saw that. One signature is not enough.
Nick coming.
I don't think Nick is going to be here, but there are 3 representatives from.
Yeah.
Five that are here.
Okay.
Corwin. I believe.
Yep.
Beth Munford, and I'm not sure.
Maureen Purvis. All right, awesome. Well, we're running ahead of schedule, but I think we would like to stick with 6 more minutes just because there's others that may be joining us because they knew you guys were coming at noon. So just don't want to get started and have someone walk in. So. Yes.
I don't know if you, this is just, Jody had emailed this morning about any
Oh,
other like
yes.
contracts, so this is the only other one for Caitlin Boyle.
Okay.
Who have like a sponsorship agreement. in regards to like school.
Okay,
So.
she's on the email with it, but also.
Yeah, I think that's just one person.
I gave Casey a copy of the sponsorship.
You want me to just put it in the folder or you want?
No, I'll take a couple. Move back.
No, it's. No, me too.
My wife and I were in the pharmacy in 2017. So normal. Long-term care. We started as retail, we're definitely doing a lot more long-term care laws. It's a little different. It was something that I promised my wife we'd never do, and then we started doing that stuff. And stop saying, yeah, exactly. We're trying not to do it. What's that? We're trying not to do it. Yeah. With 36 months, but yeah. There's good work. That'd be great. So that's how it's around. So you walk out, that's what he's going to text me. So where's here in town we have a dual center, and we have a couple homes up in Waukegan as well. But it's pretty much local, you know, this support. We have you can see where you have so you have to see who's so it's not one of the big ones. There's a few ones.
So although we still have a minute left until I'll introduce our next, I think it's kind of goes hand in hand that Lindsay's here in person. During my commissioner comments today, I congratulated you, but now that you are here, Lindsay Wood, our administrator, is now our administrator. She passed her license, her test, and she's a licensed administrator at Senior Village, and we are very, very thankful and appreciative of your leadership, Lindsay. So congratulations on working with the preceptor, going through the process, leading our facility, and congratulations on your administrator license. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yes, wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. So, all right, well, I think we're close enough, that it is 12, and, on our agenda, it had, Nick from Senior Living Investment Brokerage, that was going to come have a discussion with us, about Atchison Senior Village. However, it was our understanding that the Ensign Group was going to be here today. So this morning when we found out you weren't, and then we found out you were, we appreciate you, all of your representation for being here. And if we want to just start out, we can all kind of introduce ourselves. I am K.S.A. Quinn. I'm the Atchison County Commissioner for District Number 3 in Atchison.
Eric Knoll, Atchison County Commissioner for District 2.
Alan Rivas, District 1.
I'm Patrick Henderson, County Counselor.
I'm Kaylee Vanderwide. I'm just the deputy election officer.
I'm Mark Feldman, Finance Director.
I'm Mary Myers from the Atchison Globe.
I'm Lindsay Wood, the administrator at Atchison Senior Village.
I'm Doug Heenek, owner of DC Drug.
And Beth, I'm administrator with the Ensign.
Names, I can hear you.
Beth, an administrator with Ensign.
Corwin Lewis, market leader for our Kansas division, Emerald Healthcare, affiliated with the Ensign Group.
And I'm Maureen Purvis. I'm the clinical market lead for the Ensign Group here in Kansas.
Okay.
I apologize. I was on a lot of airplane flights and my ears are not working. So I gotta get your name or your names.
Corwin Lewis, yes, Corwin Lewis, and the market leader for the Emerald Market, which is our Kansas division of the Ensign Group.
Okay,
And I'm Maureen Purvis, and I'm the clinical market lead for the Ensign.
thank you. My hearing's pretty good. I'm struggling.
Awesome.
And this is Jody Moore. She's our HR director, so.
Awesome.
We're doing introductions here.
Well, welcome. We are excited to have a conversation with you guys. And Corwin, I think you had an opportunity to visit when we met last time and we entered into the letter of intent with the Ensign Group. No one from your group had been to our facility. We had just had basically information from SLIB to us. So when we heard from our administrator Lindsay that you had a chance to pop in and tour the facility on the 27th, we were excited that you got your eyes on it, and just looking forward to a discussion and kind of what your thoughts are. And I know I have some questions on timelines and some of the things, but just let you kind of have the floor. So welcome.
Thank you. No, we really appreciate it. It was great to, Lindsay is an amazing hostess and it was great taking a tour of the building. We're really excited about it. I hope you've been given information about our organization. We are, we have a lot of facilities around the country. We're affiliated with around 300 facilities around the country. But our model is much more of a local decision-making model. We put a lot of stock in the leaders in the individual places that we have, and that they make the decisions at the local level. And people who understand the counties and the cities and the states that we operate in, rather than decision-making happening far, far away in some office of people who don't understand who we are or what we're dealing with, or the uniqueness of our locations. And so it was great to be able to tour and see people who, well, one, they're from this area, which is great. Two, there's a lot of tenured people in this building. People have been there, not just 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15, 20 plus years of tenure. People who love that building and consider it a home for them, and have seen residents that have come and take care of their own family members and loved ones. And that's pretty exciting for us. And for me, as I toured around to see it as well, was really exciting. Being part of a large organization, one of the things that also excited me is, we want to put some money into the building as well. It's got so much potential. There's so many nooks and crannies of that building. It's for 45 beds. It's a big building that has, a chapel and a library and several dining rooms and other things that we hope to put some, upgrade some of the amenities and other things in there. And so Lindsay and I were talking about some of the things that are on her wish list as well, and things that she'd like to do and kind of been on her mind and whatnot. So we're excited to do some of those things, just putting some money into the buildings themselves. The other thing that we noticed is we just want to, being part of an affiliate, we have, 9 other campuses in Kansas that will be part of this group that will, a lot of individuals from those other facilities will come and help support this building as we do our transition. and help to make the very best we can be and learn from the things that they're doing at Senior Village and take those to our other buildings as well. But helping, especially from like a marketing standpoint and from a recruiting standpoint and other things that, you know, make it hard when you're a sole entity and you don't have some of those other support groups. And so one of our focuses is to try to help people who are from Atchison County stay in Atchison. And sometimes, you know, we talked a little bit about the hospital here. It's a smaller hospital. It may not be able to take care of everything of all the needs of the people here because of, you know, being a critical access. They're just not allowed to, or the specialties. And so they have to go to maybe a KU or, you know, a St. Luke's hospital somewhere else. And being able to use some of the affiliates that we have to try to help bring those people back and say, hey, you're from, you know, I know you had surgery or you had your illness at, you know, in a Kansas City hospital, but let's bring you back into so you can be closer to your family and so those are some things I think that I saw, which would be exciting. And then from a recruiting standpoint too, just being able to widen that net from our other affiliates. And Beth is from this area. She grew up here and knows a lot of the people around and as well. And trying to just find how do we make this, because it has been a county-owned entity for quite some time, to my understanding, to be able to use that community feel and maintain that community feel. We don't, you know, in our organization, we don't use the word corporate. We don't have a corporate office. We don't have these corporate things. We want to make sure it stays a feel of a community. That this is, you know, a senior village that's been here for some time, and we'll maintain that same feel. You know, Lindsay was talking about some of the things that she's doing with the schools and with other entities around in the community. We'll try to continue to do those things and make people feel like it has not changed in that sense, but hopefully we can add some expertise that we have from our other 300 affiliate facilities to help us grow.
Okay. You guys have any questions for them or?
I've got several, but yeah.
Okay.
So, Corin, what's your role with the company?
Yeah, so it's a little weird how our role titles work, but my title is called Market Leader. And so I support all of our buildings in Kansas, mainly on the operations side. And then I have my counterpart, Maureen, who's kind of a clinical leader. But so I support and help the growth and with the administrators in each of the different buildings here in Kansas.
My questions are geared more towards clinical care and how it's structured. So, for background, I'm a dentist, but I've done a lot of house calls at Senior Village and other nursing homes, and I've been up there a lot. So, not as much recently, I'm semi-retired, but so I like the culture there. I've always said it's the best nursing home in the area. Nursing home is not a nice word anymore. That's what I can say, still say it, but they've always been really, really geared towards quality care. I've had experience with family members in facilities in Kansas City, not necessarily yours, but did not like what I saw.
Yeah.
But here you've got people working there who actually have family there or have had family there. I mean, it's a whole different culture.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, like, what's your model for, like your ratio for your staff? What's the plan for physicians? So they have a local doctor, will they keep their local doctor? I want to hear those kind of things. And maybe you're not the right guy to ask. Maybe that's more, I don't know whoever that is.
Maybe I'll start and then Maureen can kind of jump in. Yeah, so when you talk about, nursing homes and the words of nursing homes, it makes it a little bit difficult. So I will say our mission statement is to dignify long-term care and post-acute care in the eyes of the world through moments of truth. And we recognize that sometimes nursing homes people see as a bad word, or I don't want to go to this place. And our role is to help people thrive in those settings. And even just like having a playground there. Like, what a cool thing to be able to invite children to be able to be there so that, the elderly have this opportunity to interact with some of the younger folks and everything else. So that is something that we really strive to do. We're not always perfect at it, but we strive to do that. And we want whatever that looks like. So for example, you asked about the local doctors. We want to engage the local doctors. So most recently I was in Idaho in a small town. I mean, it was probably similar size to Atchison, maybe a little bit smaller. And that was what we did. We made sure that those physicians were very involved.
sometimes they didn't want to deal with the nursing home because there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of regulation, there's all these other things. And so we did some education with the physicians about what it looks like from a billing standpoint and from, how do we interact with you to make it that much easier. So when you come in, we'll have all the charts ready, or we'll give you access that you can get things remotely or whatever else. So the plan is not to change anything like that of saying, no, you can't be the medical director or come around at that facility. We want the local, what they're doing now to make it work. Now, if a doctor says, I've been going there for so long, I really don't want to, but no one else will do it. Well, okay, well, let's find some way of making it either where you do want to go or find someone who can. And so we'll definitely work with the local hospital, we'll work with the local clinics and other physician groups to make sure that the local mentality stays there with the facility. And as far as the nurses and the ratios and whatnot, Lindsay, I had kind of this conversation as well. We don't have, once again, we don't use the word corporate. We don't have a mandate of saying you have to be at this ratio. What we do is we go in and say, what is the outcomes that we need and how are we going to get that? And let's look at some similar facilities and what they do, and let's share best practices and how they work. I know right now nurses are hard to come by. Like licensed nurses are really tough. And so maybe we might have to adjust with using more CMAs than the licensed nurses to try to help offset those things, or with the CNAs. So we don't have a standardized saying this is the exact ratio that it has to be. Outcomes is what we look for. We look at our quality measures, we look at our survey results. We have Marie and her team do a lot of clinical compliance audits that they look at all of our different systems to see what is it going to take to be able to do that. So I know it's kind of a vague answer, and I told Lindsay to do it. It's kind of hard sometimes because we don't have hard and fast rules. What does the facility need? Now, having said all that, the building also has to make sense, right? If we can't make payroll, if we can't do those things, that doesn't work either. So we also have to look at, from a financial viability standpoint, that the building has to, revenues have to be more than the costs for us to stay open. And so we look at those things as well. But clinical care is our priority, and we feel like that's the foundation of what we do. We, in our setting where we look at like a tree where the roots are the culture of the building, and we want to make sure that culture is really healthy and is maintaining things the very best that we can. We feel like that's one of our strengths, is helping develop that culture. And when that happens, then that trunk of the culture or the clinical will be firm, and that's the only way that it can happen. And then if when that's stable, then the financial results will follow, and we feel very strongly about that. That the financial stuff is the third part in that. So I'll let you.
Yeah, and then just furthermore, I mean, we do provide excuse me, resources to come out here. I mean, whether it's MDS resource or clinical resources and everything to kind of undergird your team, so you're not isolated out here, so that we keep everybody abreast of any changes with CMS or any, laws going on in Kansas. We do have a compliance team that will always come out and do an annual audit on the building prior to the health survey to make sure that they're stable and strong. We are a leadership development company, so we have different classes that people can take, the nurses, and other people that want to become DONs and everything. So we put a lot of effort into the nursing staff, so they just don't feel like they're on an island out there alone. So everything else you said plus that, but it is a great company, and they do put so much effort into helping our people become the best that they can be in their roles.
And with that too, and I would just say, along with the leadership development, we have these other facilities that are around, and we have these other affiliate buildings who will be here frequently. So they will come out, and the EDs, the administrators will gather regularly. They at least monthly. They have a phone call every week and are talking almost every single day. They just interact a lot. The DONs, the same thing. They have these regular meetings, and so they will be out to try to see if the outcomes are like, hey, we whether we don't have nurses, or we're trying to figure out from an agency standpoint, what are we going to do to be able to get rid of agency, because we feel like our own people are going to be able to take care of these individuals that much better. And so we help come up with that plan. What does that look like, and how do we support, how do we help, and how do we share and shift and whatever it takes to be able to help the building be successful. And so if we feel like we can do that as a team and as a group, then once again the building itself feels undergirded, where they have this support. But then also they can come up with a very specific plan themselves to say, hey, we need to make sure that we have, one CNA for every 8 patients or whatever, or 1 nurse for every, 15, or actually in our building, because of the acuity that we have, we do 1 nurse to every 20, residents, or we have more skilled patients, so we need less. So it really depends on the acuity of the building. It depends on the skilled mix of the building and number of 2-person transfer and all those other things that we have to take into account that we don't quite have yet, which we would love to, get a lot of that information so we can help with that as we prepare for this transition date. But
you have, when you acquire a new facility like this, how do you integrate the people that have been there for 25 years in with staff that is incoming, I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, it is hard. I think change is hard regardless. And I know as just walking around and touring the building, you could tell people are a little nervous. Like, oh man, what's going to happen? Are they going to change everything? And how's it going to? So one of the things that we feel like is really important is one, just get to know everyone the very best that we can. So we don't go in and just whitewash the building and say, all right, all you guys are out and here's all new people. We want to maintain those individuals. We retain their tenure in the company as far as, how long they've been with the company and whatnot. We also do kind of we do a midnight celebration, which is kind of fun. We're at midnight of the day of the transition, and whoever wants to can come, and we do a little sparkling cider and little speeches and everything else to try to help people. Hey, this is a big deal. We feel like it's important. But then we also have a meeting with all of the employees, and we talk about the culture of the organization and how they would be involved in that. We have a family meeting as well, where the families of the residents are involved and can come and find out kind of who we are and that we don't want to make some of these big changes. We don't want people who've been there for a long, long time, and then all the other people come and say, hey, we're the real leaders. You guys are the secondary leaders. We really feel like it should be reverse of that. Anyone who comes in new is going to be leaning on those people who have been here for 20, 25, 30 years and say, how do we learn from what you've been able to do and have what you described, right? Great culture in this building. We want to maintain that. So I would say it's probably the question, how do we make sure that they're engaged? It's kind of the reverse for us. How do we make sure that we can help them feel supported and not nervous? But just, hey, let's continue to do what we're doing, and then let's augment what you have already going and do the very best that we can together.
Yeah, but you know how hard it is to hire people now.
Yes.
When you've got a good staff there already, it's like, I hope that this goes forward and it's a successful merging.
Sure. And Linda, I talked a little bit of this too, of usually in a building, you have kind of a core of people who've been there a long, long time. And then you have people who kind of come in and out and in and out and in and out, right? Like there's kind of a churn on the fringes, and we want to make sure that core expands more and more and more, so that people who have, sometimes if you've been there 20, 25 years and someone who's brand new comes in off the street and they say, hey, I want to join your team, but you don't do it the exact same way that we do. How do we, have, what Maureen talked about, the meetings of leadership, not just, we won't just teach you about how to change a dressing or how to pass medications or those kinds of things, but we want to teach about leadership and what it means to be kind. In our core values, one of our core values is love one another, that we don't just like or tolerate or, whatever, we love each other. And what does that look like? And what does that feel like? And how do we help each other really love each other? That means being transparent and open and giving and forgiving and grace to one another and those things. So it is a challenge, and hiring people is a challenge. And that's one of our biggest, emphasis is we want to find and retain the very best people. And we feel like when they understand who we are and what we're trying to do, they like us and they want to be part of that. And so that's what we will try to do in the same thing.
Thank you.
So I have a question on, you were talking about your staff ratios based on your models. As far as getting information about your company, we didn't get anything really. What I gathered was going out to your website and reading about it and trying to understand, the affiliates versus what's in sign and all the things, right? Because yeah, it's a little confusing. It's like when you look at the list in Kansas, there's 3, but then there's actually 7 on the map. And anyways, so as far as Senior Village goes, are you planning to keep all 45 beds as a long-term care beds, or are you planning, because from your website, I see, you do acute care and rehab and several of the different facilities. Really, the only one that kind of looked similar to ours was Rock Creek of Ottawa.
Yeah.
But then just being transparent and honest, when you spelled Ottawa wrong on the website, I was like, oh, do they not care? Like like those are little things from a small town thinker, right? Like like, oh gosh, like, but I was just curious how many beds that you're planning on keeping at Senior Village, or if you're going to convert some to rehab, or like what your overall plan is for the facility, and why that intrigues you, because since you did put in a bid without seeing the facility and all the things, I'm sure you have plans, and just like to hear a little bit about what that looks like.
Yeah, no, great. So in all of our buildings, it kind of depends on the need of the community. So we do plan on keeping all 45 beds, long-term care and skilled nursing, meaning they can have skilled patients in them as well. So duly certified, Medicare and Medicaid certified is the plan. We don't intend to change up the licensure at all. Now, some of our facilities in other states, of course, have seen, wow, there is a real need for X, Y, and Z. So then they would, after being in that facility for a while, they may see another opportunity. Truthfully, here in Atchison, I don't know, I don't see necessarily something that says, wow, there is a massive need for something outside of long-term care and skilled beds at this time. Now, if the community comes to us and says, man, we would love to have a ventilator unit here, that would surprise me, but okay, we can look into that. What it would take, what the regulations would be, and everything else to see what that would entail. But that in a rural setting, that usually isn't the case. We plan to maintain what it is. Now, as far as the long-term care versus the skilled patients, like I mentioned, we do feel like there's an opportunity to increase the number of skilled beds. Now, a lot of times those are once again, people who go to the hospital have, let's say they get pneumonia or they have a stroke or something that happens and they need more rehab, to have them come to the facility and feel, hey, we have a strong rehab team. We have the equipment that's necessary to be able to handle your needs and everything else to help them stay here and then to get home. And so that they're not long-term care residents, they would be, short-term. And we do feel like there's probably an opportunity for that in this community. But if we find that there's not, we say, actually, all the needs are being met, there's no, rehab needs there, that's okay too. We will maintain a long-term care base. I think when I was there, I think there was 35 or 34 long-term care residents and 1 skilled patient at the time. And, we would just love to expand some of those things from a rehab side. And we do have a lot of, affiliates who have very strong rehab programs, and they would help. And I talked to, I'm spacing his name, is Ryan, DOR. Spoke with Ryan about some of the plans that he has and things that he'd like to do and everything else, and what the gym looks like and the equipment and modalities that they'd like to add, and some of those things that would hopefully enhance the physicians when they see, hey, I've got a patient who they're going someplace or might need rehab, but I don't know, maybe we'll just send them home to say, actually come to us and spend a week with us, and let us get you so you can not be going back and forth to the hospital, but get stronger and stronger. And we've got a lot of resources and support to help with that, and clinical programming and all sorts of things that we feel like, even with what Ryan was describing from the long-term side too, we have very strong teams that do a lot of therapy with the long-term care patients as well, to help their life be as high quality as it can be. And so we'll help with some of the training and with some of the recruiting, because I think there was only 2 therapists or 2 licensed therapists in the building that were full-time, and then that's with PRN to see how we can enhance those recruiting efforts. We have recruiters and other avenues that can help find anything.
Do you think you'll have plans to limit the number of Medicaid beds?
We have no plans to limit Medicaid beds, no.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, the Medicaid, program shifts and turns and all the things that go along with that. The facility has done a great job with the reimbursement for Medicaid. We see that actually is a strength of this community, that there's a lot of, they do well with what they have from the Medicaid side. So no plans for that for sure.
Okay. From the website, I can see all of your current facilities, but have you had any facilities close over the past year or 3 years? I mean,
No closures in our organization. we just acquired, I don't know if it's actually on our website yet, just October, we had an acquisition of a building called Providence Place. That is now part of it, so that takes us up to 8 skilled facilities and 1 care home, 9 entities, so this will be our 10th in Texas.
Awesome. And what made Senior Village attractive to you guys? Because I noticed like several of yours are, you know, Leawood, Topeka, Kansas City area, and here we are out in Atchison County. What made us intriguing to you?
Several things. One of the things that I come from a rural setting, like I mentioned, and for me, it just I feel like it's kind of an underserved area. Like a lot of our rural facilities sometimes don't get the attention and openness, and so I feel like the rural settings. Now, having said that, sometimes things are so rural it makes it hard to have the physician impact or have the strength. And so what we typically do, not always, but we typically do is when we grow kind of adjacent to one another, where we're close enough that our people, because we feel like being in the buildings is very important and a resource to be able to get to those areas. If it's too far away, it makes it really hard to get. But so we saw Atchison as it's rural, which, once again, there's a lot of opportunity in rural settings, but 2, it's close enough that we can get there and we can support that building and feel like we can have a hands-on approach with all the support that's needed anytime there's a transition, and whether it's therapy or MDS or nursing or billing or whatever else, so we can get to it fairly quickly, or if some situation happens, we can go out there and be there. The facility feels like they can go to the other buildings and see the other buildings and get to participate with those. So the geography was actually very, very intriguing to us, being rural but close enough. And that goes with like recruiting and all those other things too, that we can find, if there's staff that we might be able to pull from other communities around them. And then from a long-term care, just the fact that the census has been fairly stable. And in a lot of places, especially around Kansas, that's been hard to do. To have a place that isn't the ups and downs, and rural places, sometimes, you see these individuals who are going other areas, but the fact that it stayed in the, 70, 80s, 90% occupancy for quite some time. See, that's a building that has good bones, right? Good structure, good foundation things that we feel like when we go into a building and enhance those things, we can really help it to flourish more than when you have to go in a building that's really, really, really struggling and have to start from ground zero. This is not a building that you have to start from ground zero. There's obvious a lot of really good things that are happening there. So I'm excited about that.
I can keep going, but I'm gonna share the love with these guys.
So the elephant in the room here, Doug. So pharmacy, do you have your own 340B program, your own in-house pharmacies? Do you stay with the contract pharmacy?
So we don't have our own pharmacy. Every facility chooses themselves, all of their own contracts. We don't have any, once again, corporate contracts. We don't use national things as far as that go. Every building gets to decide how they want to do that. Now, someone like a pharmacy, we feel like are really important partners. There's some, I don't want to minimize any vendor, but some vendors are more, or some partners are more important than others. And medications is one of those really, really critical ones. From a patient standpoint of the meds that they get, and also from a cost standpoint. It's one of our biggest bills that we get is the pharmacy. So we like to have a pharmacy that is a really good partner. So having a local pharmacy we find is a really positive thing. Now I will say we look at every pharmacy, so we'll have to, we'll sit down with the leader and say, okay, let's look at pricing and let's look at, what that looks like. And we haven't done that quite yet. He gave me a call the other day, so we just need to touch base, but that's what we would do is we just sit down and say, can we make this work? But every building chooses themselves how to, where they want to use pharmacy. And we don't like to change pharmacies because it is a lot of work to change pharmacies. And usually if it's working well, then let's keep making it work well.
So how do you market yourself to local healthcare providers, hospitals, facilities in the area to encourage skilled nursing referrals and things like that? So how do you approach that?
Yeah, maybe not Beth. I don't just put you on the spot, but Beth is an administrator in a facility that what and I can add to it when you say that. But what kind of things do you do in your facility?
Yeah, just like going out and meeting with the physicians that you guys mentioned, even just going out and letting them know that we can do skilled nursing. Again, like not switching up the whole entire model, just letting them know they can come here for rehab. I actually commute to Olathe, so I live in DeKalb, just 10 miles from here. So a lot of times I get calls from friends or even community partners, decisions like where's somewhere for rehab to go. And so there's not a whole lot of local options that normally come to mind. So they do commute to Kansas City a lot. So I do think we have a huge opportunity to do that here and make sure they know what kind of capabilities we have. I think bringing in more therapists, but I'm a therapist by background, so I used to be a director of rehab. So I think bringing more therapists who maybe worked in hospitals, have seen people in their homes, have done outpatient, that kind of word of mouth, that kind of thing. I think that would be where to start.
And I would just add to that, it is, especially in rural communities, sometimes the capabilities of what a nursing home, quote unquote, nursing home can do is just underrepresented. They just don't know what all can happen. And over time, I would say even over the last 10 years, nursing homes have increased in their capabilities, what we can do. And so the education side is a really big piece of that. You know, every entity is graded by their, you know, they have certain grades. Readmission rates is one of those. You know, the hospital wants to see lower readmission rates wherever they go. And so we like to share the data that we have, good or bad, with those partners and say, we want to help you get better. And we are graded on that as well. You know, it's on websites and everything else, and we want to see those things. And so we want to educate those physicians, educate the hospitals, educate truthfully the community itself about who we are and how we do things. Whether it's at the, you know, local bingo or, you know, with the home health companies or whatever else, but also to the hospitals. So education, we feel like is one of the big pieces, and then just being present. So a lot of times we'll have a marketer that will, you know, business development person who will go out, and a lot of their job is to make sure that we have those relationships that they know this is what we can do. And we'll help you, you can trust us to have your loved one in our facility, in our home. Okay.
I don't have anything right now.
I've got a question about on the administrator side. I was trying to look this up in statutes and I ran out of steam. But I know what by statute, the administrator can be over like 120 beds or something like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so you could have an administrator at this facility, say 2 days a week or something like that, and somewhere else the rest of the time. You have plans to do that, or will you leave one person there as a full-time administrator?
Yeah, so there are geographic boundaries to that statute. I think we actually are outside of that statute here in Atchison because of the distance to anywhere.
There's a distance requirement too.
Yeah, so if you're gonna be over multiple facilities, you have to be. We rarely do that setting where someone will be over multiple. Sometimes in a pinch, we might do that for a short amount of time, but that's not the expectation for any of our facilities. Once again, there's so much that is on that leader's plate to say, look, you make the decisions here. This is not, you're not someone coming in and telling you all the things you have to do. This is you making these decisions. And so you really do need a full-time leader to be able to make all those relationships and know the staff well enough and all the other things. If you're only there 2 days a week, it would not work.
So based on the letter of intent, the due diligence period lasts till December 21st. And I saw the list of questions and information that you sent over to our staff. So that was one of the things that concerned me because this is a lot of time, which we put in the work. That's no problem. And it's kind of split up amongst several departments, but there is also information within this that since we are in a non-binding agreement at this moment, we really aren't able to give you some of these items on here. So I was just wondering if that will have any effect on what you need to make your final judgment call, I guess, on.
Yeah, usually not.
Okay.
But I guess it kind of depends on what it is too.
For like employee data, like we won't be able to give any of that information, and
yeah,
it's
no,
confidential and
totally makes sense. Yeah, no, definitely fine. Some of the things are needed to ensure that everything is clear, right, on the financial transaction, all those other things. Some of the other stuff we would just need once that binding contract is in place. And you mentioned timeframes, so 30-day due diligence period. And then once that final thing is signed, in Kansas, it's a 60-day change of ownership period. And so during those 60 days is when we get some of those other things, once it is binding. So that we can, what we really need to do is we'll load all those individuals into our time clock and get their background checks done, and all those other things to get them, because we hired, they're no longer county employees. They will be, employees of Atchison Village. And so we need to get that information for that.
Okay, and so that will just be, that's the transition. Everyone employed will just be submitted into your time clock moving forward.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
so whatever that date is, then on midnight, we always do it on the first, from our standpoint, on the first, so let's say it's March 1st. So midnight on March 1st, and all those employees would no longer be employed in the county, would switch over, and we would have our time clock up and running. They would go clock out or whatever it looks like, for their, clock out of yours and then come clock in at ours. And then, all of their, we'd have a new hire packet for them and all those things. We'd have people there to help them navigate through benefits and all the other stuff that goes along with that, being a new employee.
But that actually, you would have that information all before the
Right, yep.
day of the clock.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the reasons that we'd like to have this data, so we know, how many employees there are and tenure and all those other things, so we can help answer those questions well before that midnight, that time. They just aren't our employees until that time. And so as far as like, official, them signing an offer letter, that kind of stuff, some of the technical things that just says, hey, you are employed now, can't happen until they're no longer employed by the county. So how that works. But yes, we'll have resources, HR resource will be here and have answer all everybody's questions and go through all the benefits. They'll actually receive a packet that will explain all of the benefits to them beforehand, and so that they can help get those elections and hear what it is. I mean, we offer a lot of benefits, but I've heard the county benefits are excellent. And so, there may be some questions and some changes and things of saying, whoa, this is different than what I'm getting right now. And we want to be able to answer, because those are life decisions for people and impact people quite a bit. So the more information we can have ahead of time, then that helps us be able to answer those questions better.
Have you bought from a county before?
I personally have not been part of the county. We have in other states, but I don't think you've been part of one.
There are sometimes we run into things the way we do business, and we are have meetings once a week, and so it might seem a little strange because we don't have somebody that can fire back a decision and an answer right away. So it's kind of the government sometimes runs slowly.
Yeah. And it's like when you talk about it's used to it, right? This is how it works, and you guys, thank you for everything you do to keep these things running, and all that you've done for the facility. But yes, we understand that there are differences with this, and we're willing to work on this.
So on the facilities in Kansas, then it appears on the map that there's 7 so far. Providence is listed, the one that you just acquired in October 1st. But when I click on Kansas, it only lists 3: Providence Place, Riverbend, Post Acute, and K.S.A. and the healthcare resort of K.S.A. So are the others, the Topeka, Leawood, are those just affiliates, or are those inside group? Oh,
I found 7 on one site.
yeah, so there's 7, but then when you go down below and you say which ones are owned in Kansas from the Ensign Group, it only lists those 3. So I'm just curious to understand what that looks like.
Yeah, and this is once again a little bit strange because we are kind of a decentralized entity. Sometimes our websites and other stuff are not as updated with work. So all of the facilities are what we call affiliates of the Ensign Group. The Ensign Group actually doesn't operate any of these operations as far as that goes. They are fully subsidiaries of it, and this gets into kind of the legalese of how this works. But all of them are affiliates, meaning they all make their decisions at the local level, is what that kind of means. So all 8 facilities, and I'm not sure which one is missing from that list. The care home probably that would be 9.
There's no care home. Yeah, it's the healthcare resort of Topeka, Leawood, and Olathe, and then Rock Creek of Ottawa, Shawnee Post Acute and Rehab Center, and then the health resort of Kansas City, Riverbend, Post-Acute, and Providence. So
So
for
the three that
comfort,
you mentioned are all in Wyandotte County. I don't know if that's anything to do with it, but they're the ones that are all in Wyandotte, and then the rest are all sister facilities. But then there's also a residential care home that we acquired about a year ago in Ottawa.
okay,
It's kind of almost on the same campus as Rock.
okay, so that might be the one.
So, anyway, but yes, so, but as far as those goes, they all function the exact same as far as the unity between them and participating together. We don't see any differences. Now, and this, not that this necessarily matters, but some are owned as far as like what we're doing here, we purchase the real estate as well as the operation, and others we lease from another entity, right? So they might own the building itself, but we operate. So we do both of those things in some of those facilities, but
Okay.
that doesn't line up with the ones that were listed. So, but anyway, all of them are.
Gotcha. And Beth, you're the administrator at the healthcare resort of Olathe, is that right? Okay. What do you know your current star ratings of those facilities?
Well, off the top of my head, you know that.
Well, you mean for the overall, like Riverbend is a 1.
Yeah.
We had some issues.
Yep.
There for sure. Topeka is a 5. Olathe is a 3. Leewood is a 3. I'm trying to think of, do we have another one?
Yeah,
K.S.A?
the healthcare resort of Kansas City.
Yes, that's a 1 also.
Shawnee Park is a 3.
Yes, Shawnee Park is a 3. Providence is a 4. Rock Creek is a 3 also.
Yeah, that was just something that kind of stood out because obviously me being a business major of marketing and business management, I didn't know much about nursing homes until becoming commissioner. And now I'm like, I know, yeah, not a lot, but enough to be dangerous on the star ratings. And so when I was seeing that, I was like, oh, because that's one of the things that why we're in this position is we have great staff and we have a great facility and we have great residents, but the inner workings, as you know, which it sounds like you keep each building at local control. You just have this big umbrella with your compliance and the resources we don't have, right? Of keeping you stable and all the things. But then when I saw those star ratings, I was like, man, like the hope is finding someone to make us better and stronger. And so I was just wondering if you could elaborate any on that.
I can address that. I mean, on K.S.A. and Riverbend, both of those buildings were hit substantially in the pandemic. And unfortunately, Riverbend was the first building that got hit in K.S.A. And as you know, they did not have immunizations at that time. They didn't have the testing. They didn't have a lot of things. And unfortunately, that building kind of became the poster child of, the CMS came in and they gave us 2 IJs because we weren't documenting in the front. And so then subsequently after that, as they started to see how awful this was, that they weren't tagging people for those. So we could not, and so we've been fighting that ever since. And this year we had an amazing survey. So our star rating is going to definitely improve, and as the leadership has gotten stronger in both of those buildings. So unfortunately that happened and there's really nothing we can do about that.
We can definitely sympathize with that.
Yes. I know how hard it is. It can fall really quick. It's very hard to build that back out.
Yes.
Well, it takes, as you know, it takes 3 years, right? Those tags stay on your record for 3 years. So even when you do, like, let's say you have a great survey, well, you still got another 2 years before that really, gets through the snake on the other end. And that's sort of Riverbend and K.S.A.'s, some of the things that they're dealing with. And that's not to say we don't have, we don't get citations of things. We feel like we have great teams and we have great resources and great people. Things happen and they just do. And we try to mitigate the very best that we can. And we have a lot of individuals who do some great things. But when something does happen, we also recognize we have to own it and we have to do the very best that we can to make sure it never happens again. Sometimes you have a rogue surveyor who goes out about and has their things. We are really proud though here in Kansas. When you aggregate our facilities, we are better than the state average, which we're grateful for, and getting better and better as we get through some of these things through that snake. So it's a challenge, clinical stability, and we do feel like as we improve the culture. That's where then you have your own staff, right? We're not using much agency anymore. We have you know, the training's gonna be better, all of those things start to improve, and then your clinical outcomes just get so much better when you get the people want to be where they're at, and they're working with their own people, and they're, you know, so it does take time. We feel like there is some time there, but we will learn also as we go, you know, the uniqueness about this facility and you know, things that might be a risk for us to say, okay, let's figure out the training and how do we get the resources there, because that also you can't change on a dime either. Like, it takes time to change practices if there are any, but what I saw when I went around, people knew what they were doing. They were, you know, they loved what they did, and that is the most important and hardest thing to get in a facility. You get that, and a lot of other stuff can fall pretty quickly.
The other thing I did want to mention is that over the years, I mean, because of our longevity here in this market and everything, we have established a really good relationship with the state health department, and we know them very well, and they are they trust us at this point in time. I mean, just as an indication, I mean, we were surveyed 1 month out of the chute after Providence was acquired, and we got a substantially lower point survey than the average state level. And they just trust us now. And so they went ahead and did a desk review and accepted it within a week. We applied, we put in our audits, and she put us back into compliance. So we're seeing a lot of trust with that as well. So it's just taking some time, and we understand. I mean, those IJs, like the poor one is saying, do stay, unfortunately, on the record for a long time. And but we haven't this past year, we've only gotten 2 harm tags, whereas the year before we got 7, and the year before we got more than that and everything. So we are definitely seeing a downward trend everywhere.
And how many years have you been with the Ensign Group?
5.
And Beth, how long have I? 5. And Corwin, you're with Green Market, but
Emerald.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Emerald. I was like,
Yeah, it is a little confused. So
Emerald Market. Hey, at least I had it.
Yes, you have the right color. You're right there. So I've been in Kansas for 2.5 years, and with different Ensign affiliates for 15.
Okay. You guys have other questions?
Actually, one just a little more of a futuristic question. So what's this gonna look like in 5 years? Are we gonna have expanded more beds? Do you see it being more skilled, less Medicaid, any number of different variations? Do you see a long-term projection of kind of the direction? Knowing the healthcare world changes a lot.
I know. Yeah.
So I'm not gonna hold you to those changes.
5 years is a long time in healthcare.
Even 3 years. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once again, it depends on what the facility needs and what the community needs, and that is always going to be, I mean, it's probably not as clear cut as people want, but that's always going to be whatever is needed. However, the idea would be to enhance the skilled rehab capabilities of a facility in a rural market to say, how do we get there? So once again, we don't want to limit Medicaid. We wouldn't come in and say, oh, we're going to only take this number of Medicaid. We won't, cap that or whatever else. We want to be able to assist those individuals, but 5 years from now, we would hope that there would be a robust therapy department that is assisting the citizens of Atchison, and they don't ever feel like, oh man, I got to go to a big city to get great rehab. That they would say, no, I can go to this local hospital, get great care here. I can come to this facility, get great rehab, and be home, and not ever have to be far away from my children or husband or whatever that people are here. So that is the hope that we can have that. Now, having said that, once again, if there's not a need and that's not there, then that's okay too. And we'll continue to be almost exclusively long-term care. But that is what typically happens when there is a need. We find that in most of the facilities we go, that there just really is, and it just takes added education and support and resources and those kinds of things to help with that. Now, as far as expanding and adding more beds, I don't know. I mean, we looked at, the building looks, as far as pretty good, right? It has 45 beds that work pretty well. I know there's offices and other things in some of the rooms, but there's not necessarily any plans to change the number of beds or ask for licenses or alter those in any way. Maintain those.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else? So I just have some comments if you guys don't mind. First of all, thank you guys so much for coming today, because it helps us to put a face with a name, to have face-to-face conversations, look you in the eye, have the hard conversations, ask the questions. I really appreciated you speaking about your culture and creating an atmosphere that everyone loves to come to work. I think that you centering in on your facilities individually is huge for me because we are a small town. Atchison County has been the Atchison County home for our surrounding counties and local, families, friends. We employ local nursing staff, dietary staff, housekeeping staff, all of them. And so I would like to touch a little bit on the community needs because I can tell you what our community needs are. We need to have a succession plan with a partner that's going to purchase this facility and keep it in line with the same. Now, don't get me wrong, accountability is a must, right? But we have great people, a leader that has stepped into a role such as Lindsay, who's got her administrator license and inherited all those problems you talked about that hang with you for years. Yeah, she inherited all of that. And I appreciate her leadership because she's changing it and she's turning it around. We have an assistant director of nursing that is currently going to school to get her RN because she has hopes and dreams of the DON position. We have people that live and breathe in Senior Village, have their souls and hearts in there. So I would just hope that if we get to a binding agreement, that you guys really do take a look at that. Cause I know first impressions are important. And although Beth is close and DCAB is close, and I know she probably would love to be, in the backyard and being an Ensign employee for 5 years. Like we also have local great employees already in place that are doing a phenomenal job. So, I appreciate honesty and truth very much. But I think you will get in there and see we have an incredible staff doing a great job. They just don't have the support at our level. Unfortunately, I wish if you could turn back time and like, what should I have done to better be a better county commissioner? It would have been learning more about long-term care, I guess. But unfortunately, that wasn't the path that I took. So I appreciate it. It makes me a bit nervous that it's such a large organization. So I really hope that the care does come down to our
Local control.
Yeah, our local county and because the families and everybody is nervous of change, but I embrace everything you said about your mission and really caring about people because that's what I feel like the world is missing these days. So so thank you guys for coming and thank you. I appreciate your time and sorry, I should open it up. It's not just us, like finance director. Do you have any questions or HR director? Okay. Lindsay, administrator, do you have any questions? Doug, did you have anything that you wanted to ask that you didn't get to ask?
I'll just set up a
Visiting.
with them and discuss them later. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Kind of see how this was gonna go.
Perfect. Well, as far as everybody's good with this list then and getting all 100 and
There's so many things. And I'll just say, as you go through that list, if there are things that you're like, oh man, one, we can't get, like we talked about from a standpoint, all those other things, right? Privacy. That's okay. And then if there are other things on there, you're like, I'm not even sure what this is. Hopefully we can just have, I know you guys only meet Tuesdays, so it makes it sometimes hard, but if you can make a bunch of, comments on that paper or list and just send it back and say, hey, we're not even sure where we get this or who this comes from or whatever else. I know you probably have access to some things that maybe you guys aren't familiar with from an administrator standpoint, but just make that list and we can just kind of go back and forth and get what we need. And then if there's things to say, no, that's fine, let's just move forward. That's great. Or like, actually, we really do need to get this. Let's work together and figure out how to get it.
I think probably most of those can be, if they're to the right department, can be answered through Lindsay and HR and the finance director. That you won't need to wait for us to answer because.
And I forgot to mention our dietary director up there is amazing too. She doesn't take vacation. She comes in when she's needed. So she needs a shout out too. And then county counselor, do you have anything? Okay. So you'll have your 30 days of due diligence. And then in that meantime, will we get a contract during that 30 days, or is it after that? Because I was reading through the letter of intent and it wasn't super clear. It kind of gave us that target date of simultaneous closing and transfer of operations of February 1st, which, but I was just kind of wondering, because we have never been through this, so I was just,
Yeah.
if you could expand
It is a
on
little different.
what that looks like.
From a timing standpoint, so we do have 30 days of due diligence, and some of that is getting some of this stuff back and just kind of just. We're confident that we can move forward. We just have to make sure, especially being the county, you guys have to be pretty open and transparent anyway. Sometimes we get into situations where, you know, stuff shows up, we're like, whoa, this was different. I don't see that happening here in with the county because of the way that, you know, you have to operate. But we do need to have some of that information back. But once we have some information back, we see, okay, we're all good to go. The reason why it's a little vague is because we don't have to take all 30 days. We can take 15 days if it, you know, if we can kind of come to an agreement, and then we can send that that official agreement. It is a lot lengthier than that, of course, to kind of review. And then once that's signed, then like I said, it's that 60 days. So for example, the February 1st date would be nice, but we're actually past that now. Because we would have had to have that done by, you know, November 30th to be able to hit, you know, 60 days for February 1st. So as soon as we have some of those things back, then we kind of go back and forth, like, yeah, everything looks good. We'll send you that agreement. There's two kind of things that.
Okay, so you guys will send us the agreement, because I also saw that you guys aren't using a broker in the transaction.
Right.
So, okay, so you'll send that to SLIB and then, okay.
And then they will, and then once again, if there are things you read through there or whatnot, then we can kind of go through, because it's. I love lawyers as much as one can love a lawyer, but they sometimes it is complicated, right? All the things that have to go through that. So we just want to make sure that we can work through any hiccups that gets that close in.
Well, I'm sure you will even, I'll think of several other questions, but I think this is a good start, and I appreciate you guys again coming and meeting with us today.
Yes, I do too. Very good visit.
Do we have questions? Who we direct them to? Go to you?
She would direct it to me, yes.
Oh, yeah, do you guys have cards by chance?
Oh, man.
You just email contact information to Kaylee. She will get it to all of us. How's that?
Okay, would that work? Can I get a card? I am so
I don't
sorry.
have cards because
But you have a sticky note. and
I
I
do.
should. Just as good, yeah.
My county.
Cards are upstairs.
If you give it to me, I can give it.
That'll work. Katie, you got it.
Yeah, so I'll just send it over there and then,
Your contact information.
oh, yeah. Hopefully it's better than my chicken scratch later.
Got it.
Do the sticky note version.
Can't you picture the phone?
Flip phone.
Still works.
Sometimes.
You're just writing his info down.
No, that's cool.
Oh, okay, thank you.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Oh, perfect.
That way.
All right, it was nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Glad you're-
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
We'll be talking to you guys. So, yeah, so are you local here?
Nice. Yeah, up in Troy, actually, this word of advice.
How many other employees do you see this?
How many other facilities we service? It's the other facility, maybe at the more, and plus another skilled nursing facility.
Thanks again.
All right, thank you guys.
Okay. We are, how are we staying on time so well? This is great. All right, Jess Fanasteel with K-Work. You're up.
Actually, it's Brandon.
Okay.
Brandon Mann.
Brandon, sorry.
Jess couldn't be here because he's doing the same thing I'm doing right now in the western Kansas for Graham County.
Gotcha.
We had to divide and conquer today.
Well, welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, thank you. Been a little while since I've been here. Got our proposal for you. For workers' compensation bid for 2024.
Thank you.
Like a copy.
Sure. Thank you.
And to answer any questions that you might have about K-Work. As I believe we've spoken about before, we have 83 Kansas counties that belong to K-Work. Possibly you and Graham County would make 85. So most of the counties in Kansas get their workers' comp through us.
And why do you think that is?
Well, I've been doing this for 23 years. And I think it's the quality of service we provide and price. I mean, we're normally lower than any commercial insurance out there.
Can you expand on the quality of service?
We have top level claim staff. Actually, we just had a county employee last week have a leg amputated in an auger and life flighted to Wichita. And Amanda, our claims examiner, was in the hospital the next day talking to him. And I was down there the next day investigating the incident. So just an example of what we do.
Sorry, I'm just reading. I was trying to refresh my memory on how you're set up. So the counties that you serve on your board of trustees.
That's correct.
And then they hire your staff. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And your office out of Topeka, but you service the entire state.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And you'll see on the left-hand side of the bid, those are the elected officials, 7 of them that serve on our board of trustees. We have an annual meeting of our membership, which is actually tonight in Wichita at 5:30, which I'll be jetting down there after I leave here to attend that meeting.
Don't look back, I might pass you on the turnpike. So
You going to K.A.?
Yeah.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, if you want to sit in at the meeting, it's 5:30 tonight.
I was gonna try to make it. We'll see.
So for the counties that K-Work is not representing, have you had conversations with them? What do you feel like is holding that back?
So when I started 23 years ago, we had 40 counties that belonged to the pools. We've grown tremendously over that time. There are a handful of counties that are simply too large for our pool. Shawnee, Sedgwick, Johnson, Wyandotte, Douglas, they don't fit in the pool. I mean, Atchison County is perfect size for our pool. There are a handful of counties out there that simply want to keep their business local in their terms. So they have a local agent that they just buy their insurance through commercially. So handful of those, and that's fine.
So we're with Care currently. So if we were to switch to K-Work, what do you think we would see different?
Well, I don't know anything about Carrot. I can tell you that what you would see from us is that we are very heavily involved with counties for loss prevention. And you would be in my territory. So you would see me minimum 3 times a year going through the county buildings, doing a mock OSHA inspection and generating a report that goes to whoever you designate, whether that be the Mark or HR or county clerk, whoever that is. So you get a report on the safety things that we find, and we have no enforcement authority. We're just making recommendations. So we also provide safety classes. We like to have our county employees who drive county vehicles attend a defensive driving class every 2 to 3 years. So we do that. This is all, of course, free of charge. So
That's all included in the agreement.
We're certified to do forklift class. We're also certified to do flagging and work zone safety classes. So we do a lot of those 3 classes are the big ones that we teach.
And what are those classes put on?
Here?
You come here and put them on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, again, how are these premiums derived? Is that an estimate? Is
It-
that a formula?
Yeah, there's three main things that make up workers' compensation premium. The big one is payroll. And then you take the payroll times a rate for that job class code times your experience modifier. Your experience modifier is 0.81. That is a numerical representation of how good or how bad your losses have been over the previous 5 years. So you're below 1, so you've had less losses than what we expect. If your experience mod is over 1, then that's going to increase your rates.
0.81 was 2 years ago.
I'm sorry?
0.81 was like 2 years ago, I think. And
Uh,
0.97 would be the latest. Am I doing that right? Is that right? Yeah.
0.81 is what we have. The most recent one that we had.
Okay. So what would that, what would it be if it was 0.97? I think that's the comparison. You can run that and send it to us, it'd be great.
0.97, sure. Yeah, we can do that.
So each year it will change, or is like a rolling average, is there a? It's just each year's experience mod for that year, and then. There's no average over the course of 3 years or something. How's it, is there a variation of that?
So again, your payroll goes up and down. That's going to affect your rates. The state of Kansas publishes rates for job classification codes that we are tied to. Those typically have gone down over the last several years. I don't know why, but they've gone down. And then your experience mod is going to fluctuate up and down with your losses.
So there's nothing else built in here. I guess I'm fishing for is there's not like, this is a one-time introductory offer.
No. Yeah, you turn on the back, there's coupon codes on the back, so you just.
Yeah.
No.
Well, there's some things, it's like, wow, you get attracted to, it's like, wow, the price is fantastic.
Yeah.
We buy it,
Whatever
and then
they
the
say.
next year it's like,
No,
whoa.
this is our price, but I'm more than happy if you really do think your experience mod is 0.97 to re-rate that and tell you what it is.
Yeah, I would love that for comparing apples to apples.
Is the experience mod determined by you, or is it?
No,
What's it called?
FCC,
Yeah, it's a national thing. We have to.
NCCO, sorry.
NCCO, that's right.
There you go.
But no, this is a plain Jane out front. This is what you see is what you get. There's no hidden coupons or discounts or anything that's going to disappear the next year. So.
And there's no requirements from us as a county that we have to do in order to receive this premium.
No.
Okay.
No.
Awesome.
And like I said, we like for our employees to go through defensive driving
Yeah.
training and forklift, but don't want to, you don't want to. So.
Is there a membership fee or dues? Okay, no initial cost. Okay.
Unless you just want to send it to me directly.
Yeah.
Are there any questions from the other people on the safety committee? Because I mean, maybe they're seeing it from a different light too. I mean, I just, if you got anything you can think of?
No, not in relation to this portion.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah, if you could email us,
What that would look like.
that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. No
Do you
problem.
want me to
Okay,
just
if
give him
he-
the commissioners?
What do you want?
Do you want me to just give him the commissioners? Or send it to Pat or the clerk
I
or?
was gonna say, if he wants to send it to like me or even Mark. if he
I know
wants
we've got
yours.
Mark's
Oh, perfect.
email.
You already communicated, just.
I'll say, if he has Mark's email, if Mark can get it, and then he can forward it on
That's
to the
fantastic.
entities that need it.
Sure, of
Absolutely.
course.
Sorry, I was just gonna try and make it a lot easier for you.
It'd probably be really easy math, but I'm not a math person, so.
Yep, nope.
Figure out what that is.
That would
Real
be
easy math is
Yeah.
difficult for me.
And then I have a question on premiums. So on here, nursing home operations is listed, and we're in the midst of selling our nursing home. So will that just be handled like with your year-end audit and credited the following?
That's
year?
correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, perfect.
Yeah, we do a premium audit halfway through the year, so
Okay.
this is just your estimated payroll at this point.
Perfect. Awesome. You guys have any other questions?
I guess you're pretty accessible to anybody, like, any department head. What's the command that any department head can call you up and say, we need something?
Oh, yeah.
He wants to have one person be a point of contact.
Any of the staff, I mean, you can call us at any time.
Okay.
And all of our cell phone numbers are on our website. We typically communicate with our cell phones more than our office phone in Topeka, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I get to know the people in the counties in my territory, and so does Jess, and so does Ben in his territory. So they know, come to me if you need something.
How big is your territory? What part of that?
Mine is, well, so we divided up into two different things for safety inspections on county facilities. Mine is northeast Kansas, Jess is southeast Kansas, and Ben has everything west of Salina. So he has a big territory.
Yeah.
Because we don't have Ben teach any classes because Ben's not very good at it. So Jess and I split up the county in half as far as classes go. I do everything in the northern half of the state, and Jess does the southern half.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you.
Okay.
If we think of other questions before our meeting's over, we'll tell Alan, he can ask you tonight.
See you tonight. We'll feed you. Come on in.
This is what I need.
All right. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you, sir. Okay, unfinished business. County councilor updates?
I don't have anything today.
Do we want an executive session?
There's just been like some emails asking about that, so I didn't know if we were or we're not going to.
I think that's up to you guys, if you guys want conversation.
Okay. All right, does anyone need an executive session today? Okay, approval of expenses, look for a motion to approve the past 2 weeks of expenses.
So move. I'll take it.
It's been moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Passes 3-0. Public comment. Seeing none. I'd look for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded, all those in favor say aye. Aye. You're adjourned at 1:12. Thank you.